स्टार्ट आपने किया।
सो इस बीच में ऐसे इंटरप्शन आना भी मुझे कुछ दिक्कत नहीं है सर। मैं बिल्कुल आपकी अनुमति से आगे बढ़ती हूँ।
आपको तो अच्छा नहीं लगेगा, लेकिन मैं सदन में व्यवधान नहीं पैदा होने दूंगा।
हाँ सर, आप हैं इसीलिए मैं उसके ऊपर चिंता नहीं करूँ।
आप उनको परमिशन मत दो कि वो व्यवधान पैदा करें।
सर, लेट अस प्लीज बी इन दिस हाउस looking at India today compared to what is happening in the rest of the world. Just 2 or 3 highlights will tell you where India is compared to the rest of the world, and why should we have to compare with the rest of the world? Because whether it was in 2008 or usse pehle, we have never seen a calamity of this kind, a pandemic of this kind, and coming out of the pandemic, even as all of us were trying to make sure that people in our constituencies, people in our states, people in our area are given that extra help, each at our own level. I recognize that everybody, members of parliament and also state governments, have all played their role. Otherwise, India today will not be where it is compared to the rest of the world. So I fully credit the people of India for this kind of a, even against adversity, that we are able to stand up and be recognized as the fastest growing economy. And this is not my assessment. Repeatedly in the last 2 years, both World Bank, IMF and many other agencies are periodically giving an estimate of what the global trade is going to be like, what the growth of the global GDP is going to be like, and also recasting their assessment about what the world's growth is going to be, and by country what the assessment is going to be. And each time when they have reviewed, when they have downgraded the global growth, when they have reassessed, saying no, it is not as we thought 6 months ago, it is worse, it is getting worse. In each of these times, India also has been reduced in terms of the growth it is expected to achieve, but even after that, we remain as the fastest growing. If it was with 8.2%, now it may be 7.4%. But even as the entire globe's growth is being reviewed, reassessed, re-estimated, each time we remain at the highest. So it is important for us to, first of all, as Indians, appreciate that our people have gone through this pandemic, Delta wave, Omicron wave, and after that the way in which global value chains have hit us. But in spite of that, because of the various steps taken by the government and also by the Reserve Bank of India, we are remaining much better than most countries. I think we...
No, माननीय सदस्य, देखिए माननीय सदस्य, 1 मिनट माननीय मंत्री जी, एक मिनट। माननीय सदस्यगण, आप सब ने अपनी बात रखी, मंत्री जी ने आपकी बात को ध्यानपूर्वक सुना, कोई बीच में इंटरप्ट नहीं किया। मेरा आपसे आग्रह है, आप भी उनके जवाब को पूरा सुने। सबको बता दिया माननीय मंत्री जी।
So, globally, when the situation is really like this, and every agency after agency is assessing the situation by country, and repeatedly in their assessment, India has remained the highest, I think this House, irrespective of the party differences, will have to feel proud for this country and its people. They have struggled. State governments have helped. And it is exactly this, sir. It is exactly this which I'm trying to address. It is not that the country doesn't have problems. We have to work together to do it, and we are trying to do it. But even as we are trying to do it, and even as the global agencies are saying, this country is suffering like that country is suffering with these problems, a third country is suffering with something else, and India is like this. It's the moment that all of us will have to be true to ourselves, rather than, excuse me, ma'am, do you have a problem if I speak? There's nothing about warring here. I'm sorry, I take objection to that, Honorable Speaker, sir. Because you are there in front of me, sir. You are there in front of me. Before I complete one sentence. Oh, thank you very much. The person who's mercurial in this house tells me not to be excited. I take your point. Mercurial. So, sir, it's important for us to, for all the members, through you, I would like to say, I'm quite convinced of every input given, and I think it's my duty to respond. But even before hearing me, if there's mockery, I will take it definitely seriously to reply those who like to mock rather than hear. So I would seek your indulgence on that. Sir. Sir, this is why I want to say this to you. When there can be interruptions which are serious, and when there are mocking tone coming from there, I reserve my right as a member of this House to reply to those. And if that is treated as dumpty, what should be the first one which comes? Treated as mocking or dumpty?
Sir, she is not a member of this House.
Oh, thank you. Otherwise, I wouldn't be. All right, in that House or this House. Dada, you're always very keen on coming up with things which are not so relevant for the conversation.
एक मिनट, मैं सभी माननीय सदस्यों से फिर आग्रह करूंगा कि आप बैठे-बैठे टिप्पणी न करें, और माननीय मंत्री जी इनकी बेटी टिप्पणी को आप सुने नहीं क्योंकि कोई रिकॉर्ड में नहीं जा रहा है, और ये मैं अपेक्षा करूंगा बेटे-बेटे को टिप्पणी न करें, नहीं तो मुझे नाम से पुकारना पड़ेगा.
I'm not a member of this House, but with your permission, I'm here because I have to reply, sir. So the senior member, Saugata Roy, should probably take that into his, system. Okay, thank you, thank you. Please recall your glorious days when you were trying to talk to me about onions, na? Recall those days, because you always had that approach to women in the House. Sir.
आप बोलिए ना, आप बेटे-बेटे टिप्पणी मत सुनिए आप कोई.
Sir, the GDP of the US fell 0.9% in the second quarter, following a 1.6% decline in the first quarter, marking a start of what they call themselves an unofficial recession. There were some members who were saying, even Adirji mentioned, are we going into a stagflation? And will the finance minister please reply? I will first of all start with the last speaker, but the leader of the opposition here. There is no question of India getting into recession or stagflation. Adirji, you please be assured there is no question of us getting into either a stagflation or, like the US, they may say technical recession, whatever.
Please, Mani Sarash, please. No. No.
Sir, it is not just me, sir.
No.
A Bloomberg survey, which was done by economists, sir, has said that zero probability of India slipping into recession. So it's not just me saying. There is zero probability of India slipping into recession, even though there are several major economies who are in substantial risky positions of getting into recession. So again, because we are comparing, I start with comparing things which are happening globally and also position myself in telling about India. Bank and bank's health are equally important for looking at the economy and its situation at any point in time. Compared globally, 4,000 banks in China are reportedly on the verge of going bankrupt. I want that to be taken cognizance of by the honorable members. In India, the gross non-performing assets, the NPAs, of scheduled commercial banks has hit a 6-year low of 5.9% in FY22. So China, 4,000 odd banks are on the verge of going bankrupt and our NPAs are improving. Sir, again on government debt. Government debt is one of the important criteria with which you measure the economy. The debt to GDP ratio of many countries are in triple digits. And that includes Japan, Greece, Italy, Bhutan, Singapore, US, Portugal, Spain, France, Sri Lanka, and Canada. Whereas the central governments very consciously have controlled its debt, and it is at 56.29% of the GDP at the end of 21-22, compared to 59.9% pegged in the revised estimates for that year. So even from the revised estimates, we have brought it further down. So even when comparing the general government debt, which means the center and the states, India is in a far better position than its peers, according to the IMF data. It's not me saying it, with a general debt to GDP ratio of 86.9, which includes both center and states. So I just want to draw the attention of members. So globally, if the situation is pandemic, Russia, waves, second wave, third wave, and the Ukraine conflict and the disruption in the supply chain, if globally each country is in this situation, India's position, I've just given you some few comparisons. Today, sir, this morning, we have announced the GST collection for the entire month of July. July 22, we have garnered the second highest level ever since the introduction of the GST, which is 1.49 lakh crores. Second highest. And compared to the last year, this is one of the highest amounts. This year in April, you may be aware, I'd like to gently remind, in April 2022, it was 1.67 lakh crores, which was the highest reached. Now we've got in July 22, the second largest, which is 1.49. This is the fifth consecutive month that collections have been above 1.4 lakh crores. GST collections have been above 1.4 lakh crores consecutively for 5 full months. So the Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, which has also come out only in the morning, I think, and it is at 8 months highest number of 56.4 for July. So the trend for output and new orders are strengthening, so the economy is really getting even more robust. The PMI rose from 53.9 in June I said it is 56.4 in July, well above the 50 level, which is what shows it separates that there is no addition if it is below 50, but it has remained at 50 level, separating growth from contraction for a 13th month in a sequence. So India's 8 infrastructure sector, all of them grew in double digits for the second consecutive month in June. Data released for the month of June showed the core sector grew at 12.7% in June year on year. So strictly speaking, sir, Indian economy in every one of these aspects is showing very positive signs. I remind myself about the line Honorable Member Supriya Sule said, you know, it's enough, you can't be going on talking about earlier days. Now you've had enough number of time. She compared also very untypically to a married woman who enters the house. She gets to be a part of that house and you don't anymore say we are new, whereas what has been there and all that. But in these kind of situations, sir, where constantly questions are based not so much on facts, I'm not talking about Supriya ji alone, but in general, when facts will have to be reminded, because the way in which questions are being asked as though it didn't exist earlier. Even now the leader of opposition said, please accept that inflation existed before the pandemic also. Inflation exists, sir. At what level is the question? So conceding to that point, I have no difficulty. Inflation exists. But at what level? And that is why, if you will pardon me, Honorable Member, I would like to go back to recalling. Let's not forget, for a small taper tantrum, I'm saying small today, of the Fed of 2008, the problem continued till 13, that the Indian economy became a fragile 5 country. But what are we today in? Pandemic, second wave, Omicron, India, Russia, Ukraine, supply chain, even today largest supply component suppliers around in China still under lockdown in several areas. In spite of that, we have held the inflation well within 7 or even below. And that has got to be recognized. Oh yes, sure, I will speak. So, just gently, some bullets will have to be remembered. हमें याद करना आवश्यक है, क्योंकि बार-बार 8 साल पहले का यूपीए का क्यों बात कर रहे हैं? हाँ, बात करने का आवश्यकता नहीं है. हम बोल सकते हैं हम क्या कर रहे हैं, कितना अच्छा कर रहे हैं, शायद और बेहतर कर भी सकते हैं, मगर हम क्यों बार-बार उसको जिक्र करना चाहिए? क्योंकि उसका इंटेंसिटी क्या है? एक ही था पैंडेमिक भी नहीं है, वो एक फेड का प्रॉब्लम था, यूएस रेट बढ़ा दिया, उनका लिक्विडिटी कंप्रेस करने के लिए कोशिश किया, वो सिर्फ एक प्रॉब्लम था, उसके असर इतना पड़ा कि भारत देश फ्रजाइल 5 देश में एक हो गया था 2013 में. मगर अब तो हम झेल रहे हैं पैंडेमिक, सेकेंड वेव, ओमिक्रॉन, चाइना में जगह जगह पर लॉकडाउन, और आज भी ग्लोबल ट्रेड नॉर्मलसी तक नहीं पहुंचा. फिर भी हम मैनेज कर रहे हैं हमारी इन्फ्लेशन को 7 और 7 के नीचे रखने के लिए. इसीलिए मैं उदाहरण कोट करना चाह रही हूं सर. रिटेल इन्फ्लेशन वॉज मोर देन 9%, अभी 7% है. 7 से कम होने के ही प्रयत्न हर बार हुआ है, 2 बार उसका अच्छा नतीजा भी पहुंच गए. मगर 9% से ज्यादा 28 मंथ्स को आप एक इकट्ठा करके देखेंगे, उसमें 22 मंथ्स में 9% से ज्यादा था. यूपीए के कार्यकाल में 9% से ज्यादा. अभी जब हम 7 में हैं और 7 से नीचे कम करने के लिए कोशिश कर रहे हैं, फिर भी हमें बोला गया इन्फ्लेशन, आप क्या कर रहे हो इन्फ्लेशन. 22 मंथ्स को आपने 9% से ज्यादा रखा इन्फ्लेशन. वो याद करिए ना प्लीज एक बार. फिर इन्फ्लेशन उसी समय में डबल डिजिट्स में गया, 10% से ज्यादा में गया। 9 बार यूपीए सरकार के समय 9 बार डबल डिजिट में था इन्फ्लेशन। वो भी याद करना चाहिए जब हमें मांग रहे हैं कि 7% से कम होने क्यों नहीं हो रहे। करेंगे, बिल्कुल करेंगे। मोदी जी ध्यान रख रहे हैं उन सब के ऊपर, जरूर करेंगे, मगर आप 22 मंथ्स में।
Co-powered by RK Marble, खूबसूरत ईमानदारी. Co-powered by only OLX Autos gives the best price for your car.
Good evening, viewers. You're watching To The Point here on India Today. I'm Akshita Nandagopal, and one story that we've been tracking here very, very closely on India Today is the Bengal cash for job scam. The TMC for the last many weeks has been denying any direct link with Arpita Mukherjee, and India Today has now accessed images for you showing Arpita Mukherjee sharing the stage with Patra Chatterjee. Patra and Arpita jointly addressed a TMC campaign rally in the 2021 Assembly polls. Let's get you all the details in our report and then we'll debate.
Arpita Mukherjee and Partha Chatterjee seen on stage here at a Trinamool rally. The VIPs on the stage campaigning for a Trinamool Neta last year during the Assembly election. Undeniable proof of cash queen Arpita Mukherjee's link to Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool Congress. Proof that the Trinamool tried to hide, but India Today has now unearthed for you, the viewer. You can see in this 2021 footage, Arpita and Partho seated next to each other. Arpita even speaks on stage, campaigning for the Trinamool candidate. And this footage has emerged just days after an outright denial from Mamata's party.
যে এই টাকার সঙ্গে তৃণমূল কংগ্রেসের কোনো সম্পর্ক নেই।
The BJP, armed with this fresh Arpita Trinamool link, has staged a protest outside Parliament, setting the stage for a big new political showdown.
ये जो पार्थ चौधरी को निकाल के तृणमूल कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि उनका चेहरा को एकदम अच्छे से रखे, लेकिन ये नहीं होगा। तृणमूल सरकार पूरा एकदम करप्टेड है। हम सब लोग जानते हैं। सिर्फ तो 50 करोड़ अभी मिले हैं, 50,000 करोड़ भी उनके पास है। हम लोग बार बार बोलते हैं एकदम करप्शन बहुत अंदर में है। बहुत सारा नेता, प्रभावशाली मंत्री, MLA, MP इसमें जुड़े हुए हैं।
बोल चुकी है कि पार्टी जीरो टॉलरेंट टू करप्शन, कोई भी भ्रष्टाचार पार्टी सहन नहीं करेगी। अगर कोई कानून के नजर में आए तो कानून अपनी जांच तो करेगी। वो जांच में आपके लॉयर्स भी है, आपके लॉयर्स भी अपनी तरफ से जो है जितना प्रूफ है वो रखेंगे।
The Trinamool is in damage control mode and has now targeted the Enforcement Directorate. After the Howrah police intercepted a vehicle with 50 lakh rupees in unaccounted cash from Congress MLAs from Jharkhand, the Trinamool has questioned why the ED is silent on this mega cash haul and also claimed a secret BJP link.
সর্বভারতীয় তৃণমূল কংগ্রেস এর পূর্ণাঙ্গ যথাযথ তদন্ত দাবি করছে এবং যেহেতু প্রাইমা ফেসি কংগ্রেসের তরফ থেকেও বলা হচ্ছে ষড়যন্ত্র, কংগ্রেসের তরফ থেকেও বলা হচ্ছে সরকার ফেলার চেষ্টা, তাহলে এই তদন্তে শুভেন্দু অধিকারীকেও যোগ করতে হবে। তার কারণ হচ্ছে তিনি তো বলছিলেন এরপর ঝাড়খণ্ড।
The cash pile is growing, the evidence is mounting, and the political showdown is heating up. Partha Chatterjee, dumped by Mamata Banerjee, continues to cry conspiracy. With Partha Chatterjee's arrest and the mountain of evidence growing, it's been endless embarrassment for the Trinamool. Adding insult to injury are now the images of Arpita Mukherjee campaigning directly in person for the Trinamool Congress. With Ritik Mondal and Suryagni Roy in Kolkata, Bureau Report, India Today.
So undeniable proof on your screens there, viewers, of Patra Chatterjee seated with Arpita Mukherjee on a TMC stage. This was last year during the 2021 Assembly elections that Arpita Mukherjee is seen there even rallying, campaigning, speaking on that stage for a TMC candidate. And this is something that the Trinamool Congress will have to explain, because just days ago, when we were covering the story and we asked those questions of the Trinamool Congress, whether Arpita Mukherjee is linked to the party, they had said absolutely not. And while they've been, kind of trying to cover ground, damage control over Patra Chatterjee, now there's a fresh front they have to deal with. We've got Saket Gokhale of the TMC joining us on this broadcast. Saket Gokhale, good evening. These images that have come to the fore are from last year's Assembly elections. Arpita Mukherjee is seated next to Patra Chatterjee on a TMC platform. So the party can no longer claim that Arpita isn't linked to the TMC. There she is campaigning for a TMC candidate.
Again, look, there have been several videos. I don't know if this is some scoop you guys got, because there have been videos of her with Patra Chatterjee at a Durga Puja and Mamata Banerjee on stage as well. Like we've said a gazillion times, at the end of it, if she is Patra Chatterjee's allegedly close associate, if she was campaigning with him, that's the business between the two of them. There are a lot of people seen at a lot of rallies. In fact, the BJP recently had a Bangladeshi actress who was campaigning for them at the elections, and then they said that there could be anybody on the stage. It's not that Mamata Banerjee sits and decides, oh my God, every rally, who is going to go on stage and who is going to be there and stuff. If Patra Chatterjee invited her, that's an equation between the two of them. And if their links are limited to just that, or if their links go deeper, is something that the ED needs to investigate.
This is not a personal platform, is it, Saket Gokhale? This is a party platform that she's at. She's campaigning for a TMC leader. So then obviously the party is answerable. Like you just pulled up the BJP, there will be questions asked of the Trinamool Congress.
Which leader is she campaigning for? Which leader?
Saket, we're losing your connection.
Which leader is she campaigning for?
She's campaigning.
Can you hear me? I said, what leader is she campaigning for?
She's there on the stage with Patra Chatterjee campaigning for the 2021 Assembly elections.
Yeah. So Patra Chatterjee invited her with him. They might have an equation with each other. She's supposed to be an aide of Patra Chatterjee. That has nothing to do with the party. Patra Chatterjee was a member in the TMC government. Yes. Now he invited her. I mean, how does that establish a link directly between her and the party?
Because let me again reiterate, Saket, that this is a party platform. You can't claim that this is a personal platform for Patra Chatterjee.
Again, today, if somebody comes on stage, if somebody is invited by somebody to come on a stage, let's say there's a party stage tomorrow, an actor comes at a Trinamool Durga Puja event, and on the Trinamool Durga Puja stage, he gives a speech and wishes everyone.
Does that mean that Trinamool campaign event, if there's an actor who comes up, yes, the TMC is answerable. Priyanka Tibrewal of the Bengal BJP is also with us. Ms. Priyanka Tibrewal, what do you have to say about this? Saket Gokhale is saying that, look, for every political party, there are these people who the party can't be answerable for when they come on stage.
No, the party is absolutely answerable. And there is this vicarious liability with Mamata Banerjee to respond to whatever activities are being done by their subordinates. Now, when he's saying that she was only campaigning for Patra Chatterjee, and that is none of their business, so he's wrong in saying so. Because it is not that she campaigned only for Patra Chatterjee, she has campaigned in both the seats of the Behala constituency also. So when you are campaigning for someone under the flag and the leadership of your party, especially your general secretary is there on the stage, so the party is answerable, because I don't believe that anybody for that matter can step onto the stage and then campaign. And not just that, she has been seen on number of occasions sitting on the stage of Trinamool, wearing the symbol of Trinamool around her neck.
This isn't the first event. This isn't the first event, is the essential message from the BJP, Saket, that there have been many instances where Arpita Mukherjee has been seen on a TMC stage, at the TMC platform. So is a mere statement saying she has nothing to do with us enough? Because there's more and more footage emerging of her linked to the party.
So can I answer? Okay. So anybody wearing a TMC flag, like Ms Tibrewal said, anyone can wear a flag of any party. And if you're saying that Mamata Banerjee is responsible because this Arpita Mukherjee was... Let me finish, ma'am. if she was wearing a Trinamool flag and she was seen on stage, then by that logic, one of the monsters who beheaded Kanhaiya Lal was a BJP member. One of the Lashkar guys caught in Jammu was a BJP IT cell head. Should we blame Narendra Modi
for BJP?
Nadda for that?
Was he campaigning for BJP? Was he seen with the General Secretary? Did he have deeds of property deeds along with the General Secretary? No.
No, one second,
No.
one at a time, please. One at a time. Saket.
Yeah. Riaz, who murdered Kanhaiya Lal, is a member of the BJP's minority cell. The guy caught in, the Lashkar guy caught in Jammu is a member of the BJP. Why is the BJP not answerable for them then by that same logic?
Priyanka Tibrewal, answer.
So that is what I am saying, that mountains of money which was recovered from where? From whose house? And the property deeds which are recovered.
No, answer Saket's question. Priyanka Tibrewal, one second, answer Saket Gokhale's question there. Answer Saket's question, Priyanka, that when there are links emerging of others, accused in several crimes to the BJP because they're seen taking pictures with leaders, they're seen taking pictures with ministers or seen at some event with a flag, then the BJP says they're not linked to the party. So they're saying that use the same equation, the same length to measure the TMC as well.
If you are finding out cash like this, did they get cash like this from anywhere? And then BJP said that no, we are not linked to them. No. But here the cash has come. Here the property deeds have come where the name of Partha Chatterjee is there. And now that Partha is also saying that, this is a conspiracy. So whom is he pointing that finger towards? He's pointing that finger towards the TMC. He is saying that it is the TMC people who are also involved. I am not saying so. See, it will come out very soon. Because yesterday only Partha has said that this money is not mine. If it is not yours, then the property deeds, which is there, your name is there in all of the deeds. Where did so much of money come from? And who are the others who are involved in this money trade? So all these names will come out. That's the reason they have disowned him. No, that's the reason. Because I'm telling you that they did not disown Kunal Ghosh. They did not disown Sudeep Bandopadhyay, Madan Mitra. So that means they believe that he is not innocent.
The same questions. Unfortunately, no political party can preach on this, whether it's Priyanka or Saket, because every political party has one or two of these people who are accused of corruption and the party just squats on them, refuses to act. Priyanka, there are many of them in the BJP, the Bengal BJP too.
There's a difference, Akshita.
I am telling you one thing. See, I am telling you whenever they question.
Yeah, 1 second, Saket, let Priyanka answer.
Sorry, can I just...
They say that BJP is a washing machine. Correct. So they say that BJP is a washing machine. So there is an acceptance that they are dirty. There is an acceptance that they are dirty and they believe that their dirtiness is washed by BJP. They believe so. So I will once again question that when Suvendu was in your party, if you say that he was seen, then many other netas were seen. What action have you taken against them?
No, the same question. Unfortunately, both... No, it's ironical that we're hearing this from both parties because the same question can be asked to both right now. Saket, go ahead.
You told me to give me a chance to respond.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. It's funny she's mentioning Suvendu Adhikari and asking what action we have taken. Madam, let me remind you, the enforcement directorate is controlled by your government at the center. And they have not...
It's not, that is what I'm saying. It's not controlled
everybody
by
had their corrupt people.
It's an independent
I did not
agency.
interrupt you. Do not interrupt me. This is not fair. This is absolutely not fair. You can't let this person interrupt me when
Go ahead, Saket. Priyanka, just hold on.
This is not parliament. So a lot of parties are a lot of corrupt people. Some were originally from the BJP like Yediyurappa. Then there was Himanta Biswa Sharma who was in the Congress. There was Suvendu Adhikari who was in the TMC. You admit that these people were dirty. Then why did your party clamor to take these people on in Maharashtra? 50 MLAs, out of which 20 of them had ED charges. You suddenly went and you took them. Now there is no investigation. So my question is, you're saying why was no action taken? Madam, the ED comes under your BJP government at the union.
Sir,
why aren't you investigating Himanta?
That only.
Why aren't you investigating?
That is what I'm saying.
Why aren't you
That is what I'm saying. That it is the ED who decides their course of investigation, that what they have to do, what will be their actions. We don't.
This is an allegation. This is an allegation, Priyanka. This is an allegation you face across the country. Maharashtra today, right now, the same question is being asked. About selective targeting.
Allegations are there in the air. They can speak. Once again, I am saying that today, whatever questions they are saying here in front of the media, ask them to go to the court of law, prove the same, ask them to go and file an FIR
Okay, so basically,
against whosoever they think is corrupt.
what she's saying
Why do they believe? Why do they believe that the judiciary will not stand with them if they are correct? Because whatever they are saying is all in the air. They will not be able to prove any allegation. That's the reason they do not get a court order. That's the reason that when they question the credibility of this ED, when they question the credibility of this ED before the Supreme Court, that is why they had to, they had to face the check from the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court refuted each and every allegation which they made.
You know what?
That is the reason.
This is criminal contempt of court because
no
I
other
have a
option.
case.
So they may speak whatever they like.
1 second.
But whatever is happening, all the investigation is being done on the order of the honorable court. And if this
Okay, I'm going to 1 second. I'm going to give a chance. I'm going to give a chance to Saket Gokhale also to respond. Saket, go ahead. Let's try not to speak over each other, please.
First of all, it's absolute garbage to say that someone went against the ED to court and it was upheld. In fact, tomorrow morning is my petition against the ED director's appointment. It has been listed in the Chief Justice Court. For a lawyer, Ms Tibrewal really needs to check the cause list every day. Number two, they say that, if you have evidence, go to court. So basically meaning that the ED will go after opposition leaders. But when it comes to BJP leaders, then ED will not do anything. You go to court and file a case against them. Is that how it's supposed to work? Is that how the enforcement director is supposed to work?
Now that is what I'm saying.
Witness a murder,
Chatterjee case was filed in 2017. Don't misguide people. Don't misguide. For Partho Chatterjee and cheaters like Partho Chatterjee who are very much part of Trinamool Congress, even today, cases are filed in the court. And that is how we get orders from them.
Even yesterday.
Yes.
Even yesterday.
Yes, that is the reason Madan Mishra went inside. That is the reason Kunal Ghosh went inside and was yelling that Mamata Banerjee is a conspirator.
No, 1 second.
Kunal Ghosh was yelling.
Priyanka, when you say Mamata Banerjee is a conspirator, you're making extremely strong allegations there. And the BJP said this time and again.
Listen to my statement. I said his spokesperson of TMC, when he was behind bars, Kunal Ghosh, he said that Mamata Banerjee is a conspirator. And this is there in all the videos. Then what happened? When he came back, he becomes the spokesperson of the party.
Yeah.
Can I get 10 seconds, please?
Yeah, 10 seconds. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I get 10 seconds? Okay, by that logic then, I'm making a straight on-the-record statement here that Prime Minister Modi is so incredibly involved with corruption. He's been photographed with Nirav Modi. He's been photographed and having a speech with Mehul Choksi. And the reason these fugitives are at large is because Narendra Modi himself is helping them. Not just me saying it, there are people, including Mr. Yashwant Sinha, the presidential candidate, quit the BJP because of the immense corruption that's happening under Modi and Shah. There is nobody as corrupt as Narendra Modi.
Why did you throw and disown Partho Chatterjee? Tell me. So there is an acceptance by TMC that he was a cheater, he was a fraudster. So TMC has accepted that. You did not wait for the probe to finish.
No, we haven't. There is something called a court of law.
Oh. Then
See,
why did you disown him and not the others? Why did you disown him and not the others?
In our party, I'll tell you this, the differences in our party, when someone's under a cloud of suspicion, we let them prove their innocence. Our party will wait till they're convicted.
They have all cheated
Your
people.
party waits till
They
they're
have all cheated people. So why did you see them with different eye?
Teni's son ran over farmers.
1 second.
Cabinet.
Priyanka, you've asked a question. Let Saket respond. Saket, why did you feel the need? Why did the TMC feel the need to crack the whip against Patra Chatterjee?
The difference, the reason we felt the need to do that is the way our party works versus how the BJP works is, and I'm not speaking for any other party, but us as the TMC versus the BJP. The moment Partho came under a cloud of suspicion, Mamta Di expelled him from all his cabinet posts. Abhishek Banerjee removed him from all party posts. And we said, let him go, prove himself innocent in a court of law and come back. The difference, however, being that in the BJP, however, until the person, no matter how much of cloud of suspicion they're under, MJ Akbar was not sacked until...
So then, no, so Saket, then you believe that the TMC believes that the ED action in this case is not political vendetta, correct?
Mishra was not under the cloud of suspicion for TMC. Sudeep Bandyopadhyay, 2 years inside the jail, was not under the cloud of suspicion.
One second.
You
know, both Priyanka Saket, hold on. Press pause for a second, because if we start taking names, this will become an endless debate. Both sides, every political party, unfortunately, has all of these corrupt leaders. And if we start getting into the names, it's going to be an endless discussion. Final word from both of you. Saket Gokhale, your party felt the need to crack the whip against Patra Chatterjee. Great, considering he's facing the investigation. But then it goes against your own party stand that this is political vendetta.
No, it doesn't go against the party stand. In fact, what we are saying are two separate issues. In Patra Chatterjee's case, we are demanding a time-bound probe. We are saying complete the case in 3 months, give it to a fast-track court, and convict or acquit him, whatever the result might be. At the same time, we are saying that it's not just our party, but the ED is being used as an instrument of vendetta today against Mr. Sanjay Raut.
Final word. I've completely run out of time. Final word, Priyanka Tibrewal. TMC has acted against Patra Chatterjee, so you welcome that. So it means that they're cracking the whip right now against corruption.
Not at all. They are trying to disown him in order to save their neck. And that is the fact. Because a person from your party who's a general secretary has contested elections so many times. When he was filing his ITR returns, they never showed these property anywhere. Why did the police fail to find out these facts, although the police ministry falls under the chief minister herself?
Okay, point taken. We've run out of time. Priyanka Tibrewal, Saket Gokhale, thank you very much for joining us this evening on To The Point. Clearly, the political showdown in Bengal will continue. But right now, there will be questions asked of the Trinamool Congress also about Arpita Mukherjee, her link to the party, to which the TMC says there's no link whatsoever. She's only Patra Chatterjee's close aide. It's up to you, the viewer, to decide on that. Thanks very much for tuning in. Good night.
I don't read the news. I read between the lines to tell you the true version of events, the true story of our times.
To document grief, the toughest assignment for any journalist to be.
From those who matter.
Women politicians going to stick up for each other.
Of those who should matter. I document the truth. I don't distort the truth. I don't glamorize the truth. I don't gloss over the truth.
The ghosts of India's contentious medieval history have come knocking again.
I hustle for the truth. On the ground, in the newsroom, in the studio. I don't try to grab eyeballs.
I inform you to make you see the point.
To The Point with Preeti Chaudhary. At these times, only on India Today.
सो इस वक्त हमारे साथ हैं बिंदिया रानी, कॉमनवेल्थ गेम्स की सिल्वर मेडलिस्ट 55 kg वेट कैटेगरी में। बिंदिया, आपका पहला कॉमनवेल्थ गेम्स और सिल्वर मेडल, कैसे एक्सप्लेन करेंगे अपनी खुशी को?
आज मेरा ये लाइफ का गेम्स है, इसमें मेरा सिल्वर मेडल आया, इसके लिए मैं बहुत आई एम सो फील वेरी हैप्पी। मेरा फर्स्ट लाइफ के लिए सिल्वर मेडल आया, इसके लिए मैं बहुत खुश है।
मैं ये जानना चाह रहा था कि एक एथलीट बनने के पीछे आपने कितनी कड़ी मेहनत की, किन किन चुनौतियों का आपको सामना करना पड़ा, चाहे वो परिवार की बात रही हो, चाहे आप खुद आपने किस तरीके से ना अपने आप को आगे बढ़ाया वो।
और ये मेरा कोच लोगों ने भी बहुत हेल्प किया, और टॉप्स और साई ने बहुत हेल्प किया। उसके बाद मेरा कोच विजय शर्मा प्रमोद सर, वो लोगों ने अभी भी ट्रेनिंग में पूरा, मेरा टेक्निक थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम है, इसके लिए रूम हमने अभी इधर बताया, फिर रूम में जाके सौ की सोचना है। सालों ने ये बताया, ये ऐसे बोला, मैंने सालों का एडवाइस मैंने दिमाग से लगाया, इसके लिए वो सालों ने बहुत हेल्प किया।
स्नैच में आप थोड़ा सा अभी आपको लगता है कि थोड़ा सा और इम्प्रूव करने की ज़रूरत है, क्योंकि हमने देखा कि आप क्लीन एंड जर्क में बेहतर कर रहे थे, लेकिन स्नैच में थोड़ी सी प्रॉब्लम थी, उस पर आप कैसे काम कर रहे हैं?
मैं स्नैच भी अभी तो कभी कभी अच्छा किया, तो क्लीन जर्क तो कॉम्पिटिशन में ट्रेनिंग में इतना फेल नहीं है। स्नैच तो थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम है, तो प्रॉब्लम तो अभी तो ठीक चल रहे। इधर बर्मिंघम में ट्रेनिंग आया, अभी ठीक चल रहे। फिर उसके बाद अभी भी स्नैच तो पहले से अभी ठीक है।
you.
सो देश को आज एक और गोल्ड मेडल हासिल हुआ और देश को गोल्ड मिलाया किसने? जेरेमी ने। जेरेमी, ये आपके करियर का कॉमनवेल्थ गेम्स का सबसे बड़ा मेडल है। बहुत आपने तैयारी भी की थी, स्ट्रगल भी किया, बताइए कैसे रहा? 2011 में शुरू किया था करियर?
हाँ जी, वेट लिफ्टिंग 2011 दिसंबर में स्टार्ट किया था और स्टार्ट करने के बाद मैं कोच मेल सोमा का अंदर भी ट्रेनिंग किया था और आर्मी स्पोर्ट इंस्टीट्यूट में मैंने 2012 में ज्वाइन किया और वहाँ आर्मी स्पोर्ट इंस्टीट्यूट में जारजाऊ की कोच मिज़ोरम का ही है, उनने मुझे ट्रेनिंग करवाया और तब से कंटिन्यू ही कर रहा हूँ।
आज आपको लगता है कि आपने जो सोचा था वैसा किया? हालांकि गोल्ड मेडल मिल गया, लेकिन आपको लगता है जो आपने प्लान किया था वो आप कर पाए?
जो मुझे चाहिए था ये गोल्ड मिला है, लेकिन परफॉर्मेंस दे नहीं पाया और मैं दिखाना चाह रहा था सबको, मतलब कि मैंने कितना मेहनत किया है, लेकिन गेम में तो कुछ भी हो सकता है, कुछ पता ही नहीं लगता। तो थोड़ा सा मसल क्रैम्स का वजह से हो नहीं पाई टीनेजर में, लेकिन खुश हूँ अभी।
खुश है अभी? आपकी फैमिली बैकग्राउंड भी सब स्पोर्टिंग है, पापा भी खेलते हैं, भाई भी खेलते हैं, 5 भाई आप लोग। कैसा रहता है घर में एटमॉस्फेयर?
घर में तो सर मस्ती करते रहते, पापा तो भाई जैसा ही ट्रीट करता है और मम्मी अकेला लड़की अभी, और मम्मी भी ऐसे ही ट्रीट करते हैं हम सभी, और आपस में बॉक्सिंग भी खेल लेते हैं पापा लोग के साथ भी, और मतलब काफ़ी मज़े करते हैं हम।
67 में ये आपका आज आखिरी इवेंट था, इसके बाद आप तैयारी करेंगे पेरिस की, आपको वेट भी चेंज करना होगा। ये ट्रांजिशन जो बदलाव होगा उसको आप कैसे देखते हैं? कितना कठिन होने वाला है?
बहुत मुश्किल होगा। मेन फेस जो है मेरा वेट गेन करने का, अगर वेट गेन होगा तो ट्रेनिंग तो मैं अच्छा करता हूँ, मैं खुद में इतना मतलब कॉन्फिडेंस है कि मैं ट्रेनिंग कर लूँगा अच्छा से। अगर 73 मतलब चला जाऊँगा अभी 67 छोड़ के, ओलंपिक के लिए तैयारी करूँगा, बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस दूंगा मैं।
आखिरी एक सवाल जेरेमी, ये मेडल आप किसी को डेडिकेट करना चाहेंगे? फैमिली में, कंट्री में, किसी को आप बताना चाहेंगे ये मेडल किसके लिए आपने जीता है?
एक ही को नहीं दे सकता, क्योंकि काफ़ी टाइम से मैं ट्रेनिंग कर रहा हूँ और हमारा देश को तो सभी को डेडिकेट करना चाहता हूँ, फिर भी मेरा फैमिली और मेरा ग्रैंडफादर और ग्रैंडमदर के लिए। जी।
₹40 crore Patra Chawl scam unravels. The scam taint singes the Shiv Sena. Was money diverted to Shiv Sena Member of Parliament Sanjay Raut? Hundreds of families wait for their homes. Join me, Gaurav Sawant, as I get you the latest. The scam unravels. The Patra Chawl scam decoded on the news track at 8 p.m. tonight, only on India Today.
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group. Growing Legacies. Co-presented by Century Ply. आग से बचाए. Co-powered by RK Marble. खूबसूरत ईमानदारी.
₹1,040 crore scam unravels. 14 years on, hundreds wait for their homes.
जब तक चाबी नहीं मिल रहा है, तब तक हम लोग भरोसा ही नहीं कर सकते।
Redevelopment fraud singes Shiv Sena. Scam money diverted to Sanjay Raut. Anatomy of the Patra Chawl scam. Decoded on News Track with Gaurav Sawant.
The Enforcement Directorate says Sanjay Raut is not cooperating with investigations. He was asked to repeatedly join the probe, but he kept avoiding it, saying He's in parliament. This is a probe into the 1,034 crore rupee Patra Chawl investigations. The Shiv Sena has hit back at the government, saying the centre is targeting opposition leaders. Uddhav Thackeray insists, like real-life actor Pushpa, Sanjay Raut is real-life Pushpa. Main jhukega nahi. Not crawling under ED pressure. But does the Enforcement Directorate have evidence of Sanjay Raut's complicity in the Patra Chawl scam? Priyanka Chaturvedi, Deputy Leader of the Shiv Sena in Rajya Sabha, has demanded accountability of the ED, CBI and Income Tax Department. She joins me here on the news track. I'm Gaurav Sawant. As always, let's get started with the headlines at 8. After days of disruptions, Parliament debates price rise. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman says India controlled inflation despite the COVID pandemic. That is still the fastest growing economy in the world. Congress MPs stage a walkout. Delhi High Court validates Smriti Irani in the Goa restaurant controversy. Court says the minister and her daughter are not owners of the restaurant. Say there was an intent to malign and damage her reputation. Amid Sitharaman and DK Shivakumar face off. Fan video pictures Sitharaman as the Congress chief ministerial face. Preparations underway for the big Siddha birthday bash. Delhi goes dry due to Aam Aadmi Party's excise policy flip-flop. Nearly 500 liquor shops are shut. Pubs and bars are running low on liquor stocks. Actor Amir Khan pleads to his audiences not to boycott his upcoming film. Lal Singh Chadda says he feels sad that some people think he does not like India. After an early morning raid and close to 15 hours of questioning by the Enforcement Directorate, at midnight, formally, Shiv Sena Member of Parliament Sanjay Raut was arrested. The Enforcement Directorate told a Prevention of Money Laundering court that Sanjay Raut was not cooperating with investigations, and they also alleged tampering with evidence. They sought 8 days custodial interrogation but were granted custody till the 4th of August. Our Mumbai Bureau brings you our top story tonight.
Early morning raids, 15 hours of grilling and a midnight arrest. And now, the court has sent Shiv Sena MP Sanjay Raut to ED custody till August 4th. But the ED remand came with some relaxations. The court directed ED to not conduct interrogation of Raut at night owing to his ill health. The ED must also ensure Raut got his medicine and would be hospitalized if required. Sanjay Raut has also been allowed to speak with his lawyers. The concessions came despite the ED accusing Raut of influencing witnesses and tampering with evidence. Sanjay Raut has been claiming that he is a victim of political vendetta. On Monday, former Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray backed his loyalist. The former Chief Minister compared the current political scenario with Hitler's rule.
सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर चल रहा था तो हिटलर एक समय ऐसे आया था कि अब उस वक्त लग रहा था कि शायद हिटलर जीत जाएगा, पूरी दुनिया को अपने कब्जे में ले लेगा. तो उस वक्त डेविड लो मतलब हिटलर बॉम्ब डालता था और डेविड लो एक कार्टून निकालता था और वो कार्टून का जो एक परिणाम हुआ करता था वो बॉम्ब से भी ज्यादा होता था. तो यही होती है जो तानाशाही की बात होती है. जब सारे लोग अपने गुलाम होते हैं तो कुछ दिन के लिए जब तक उनका उपयोग आपके लिए होता है तब तक वो गुलाम अच्छे लगते हैं. बाद में गुलाम जब उनका उपयोग नहीं रहता है तो निकलते हैं.
Uddhav even used the famous dialogue from the film Pushpa to say that a real Shiv Sainik झुकेगा नहीं.
मुझे संजय राउत पर अभिमान है और बाला साहब का असली सैनिक सिर्फ वो पिक्चर देखने के लिए ठीक है पुष्पा झुकेगा नहीं, लेकिन ये झुका नहीं. जो झुकने वाले थे वो हमाम में चले गए और झुकने वाला कभी शिवसैनिक नहीं हो सकता.
In a show of support, Uddhav Thackeray even went to Raut's home to meet his family. Raut's arrest came after ED claimed that more than 11 lakh rupees were found at the MP's house. ED says it has enough evidence to nail Sanjay Raut in the multi-crore land scandal. But the Sena leader says the probe agency is shooting in the dark. Bureau Report, India Today.
For the uninitiated, what is the 1,034 crore rupee Patra Chawl scam? Why Sanjay Raut, Member of Parliament of the Shiv Sena, why has he been arrested for this? Now, there is, according to the Enforcement Directorate, a complex money trail, including transfers of fund to Sanjay Raut's wife Varsha. Varsha Raut got some money that was reportedly used to buy a flat in Dadar through an unsecured loan. According to the Enforcement Directorate, it's not just about one flat at Dadar. They have claimed there are at least 8 other properties at multiple locations, including several plots at Alibag. Shiv Sena says, where is the evidence?
Mumbai's Patra Chawl case is unravelling. Shiv Sena's link to the alleged scam is now under scanner, with the party's MP Sanjay Raut under arrest. Siddharth Nagar, popularly known as Patra Chawl, is in the northern Mumbai suburb of Goregaon. It had 672 houses spread over an area of 47 acres. In 2008, the Maharashtra Housing and Area Development Authority took over the redevelopment project, and the contract was given to Guru Ashish Construction Private Limited. 14 years on, the people of Patra Chawl are still waiting to get their homes.
ये सब बहुत तकलीफ हो रहा है अभी आउट पैसा किधर से भाड़ा किधर से तो घर कैसा चलो ये टेंशन में अभी बहुत कंटल गए पत्रा चल ये लोग आज भाड़ा देंगे कल देंगे ऐसा करके हम लोग एक 1.5 साल से उनके घर में रह रहे कि तुमको हम कैसा भी भाड़ा करके देंगे डिपॉजिट देंगे।
हम भी यही सोच रहे हैं कि जो चीज़ 2008 से शुरू हुई है पानी सर के ऊपर जा चुका है, हर जगह पे उसी की चर्चा है, हर महाराष्ट्र की फिलहाल राजनीति इसी नाम पे चल रही है, हर कोई राजनीतिक फायदा बटोरने के लिए इसी का नाम ले रहा है, लेकिन हमारा काम पूरा नहीं हो रहा है।
So what went wrong? The Enforcement Directorate alleges that Guru Ashish Constructions misled Maharashtra Housing Development Authority and sold floor space to 9 private developers. The group allegedly collected 901.79 crore for it. No construction took place. Guru Ashish Construction Limited is a subsidiary of a real estate firm, Housing Development and Infrastructure Limited. ED claims Praveen Raut, Sanjay Raut's friend, received 100 crores from HDIL and allegedly diverted the money to accounts of his close associates, including the family of Sanjay Raut. ED claims in 2010, 83 lakh rupees, which was part of the proceeds of the crime, was transferred to Sanjay Raut's wife, Varsha, who used the money to buy a flat in Dadar. 8 plots of land in Kihim Beach, Alibag, were also allegedly purchased in the name of Varsha Raut.
The Enforcement Directorate says that the transaction details establish Sanjay Raut as a beneficiary of the crime. The agency also alleges that the Shiv Sena MP helped prime accused Praveen Raut in laundering money.
The investigating agency maintains that Sanjay Raut is not cooperating in the investigation. The Sena MP was grilled for close to 15 hours on Sunday. His home in Bhandup, Mumbai, was also searched for several hours. Now in ED custody till 4th of August, will more skeletons tumble out? With Munish Pandey in Delhi, Mustafa Sheikh and Divyesh Singh in Mumbai, Bureau Report, India Today.
The opposition is up in arms, insisting all voices that oppose the Narendra Modi government are systematically being silenced. The government has hit back, saying there is a transparent, evidence-based investigation that is currently underway, and it's courts that decide who's guilty and who's not.
Joining me on the show is Shaina NC, BJP leader and spokesperson from Mumbai. Raj Punj is the political analyst associated with the Shiv Sena. Munish Pandey, my colleague tracking the Enforcement Directorate, and Sahil Joshi, our managing editor in Western India. But before that, I want to cut across to Priyanka Chaturvedi, Shiv Sena's deputy leader in Rajya Sabha. And Priyanka Chaturvedi, I want to begin by asking you, ma'am, the Enforcement Directorate has alleged lack of cooperation by your party MP, Sanjay Raut. They say he's not joining investigations. They're talking about tampering of evidence. ED says that's exactly why they require custodial interrogation, because of this lack of cooperation. Then why complain, ma'am?
I don't know if you all heard the statement of his brother, Sunil Raut ji, who said not a single document was asked for. At 7:30 a.m. when they came in, all the documents that were needed were all in order, but they were not asked for. And speaking of cooperation, how does one cooperate? Every summon given to him, he was attending to, he was going to the ED office. It was just the last two summons which he could not attend because the parliament was in session. He gave it to them in writings, requesting for a change of date and postpone it to post-parliament session, where he could come and cooperate with them. But I do not know what was the tearing hurry for them to not, give him an alternate date and go to his house and arrest him, detain him, arrest him, and not a single shred of evidence was asked for. So this non-cooperation, etc., also fell flat today in the court, where they were asking for 8 days of custody. They've been granted 3 days.
3 days. Okay, fair enough. Now, Sanjay Raut's brother, of course, we heard what Sunil Raut had to say. He also claimed that money found in the house, incidentally, belonged to Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. Claimed this wasn't personal money, but party funds that were meant for the trip of members of parliament and leaders of the Shiv Sena who were to go to Ayodhya. Ma'am, if that is the case, why was this information not shared with the Enforcement Directorate? Why tell the media now?
No, ED cannot, because, okay, two questions you've asked me. Why was it not told to the ED? We cannot report our day-to-day activities to Enforcement Directorate just because they're investigating on a case which has nothing to do with the cash found in the house. It has to do on the basis of some charges that they have been levying on him, and a case which is 20 years old. So that is point one. Now point two, about telling the media. I'm telling you, all the sources-based information, right from audio recordings that have been leaked to media, have been coming from Enforcement Directorate. And by the way, I call them Enforcement Directorate less now, and I would rather call them Extended Department of Bharatiya Janata Party, because they're working on their behest. So they have been putting out sources-based information, and media was questioning Sunil Raut ji. He answered them honestly, whatever the answer was, and he's given it to them. If Enforcement Directorate feels otherwise, if Eknath Shinde ji feels otherwise, they can come clarify.
Okay. No, but Priyanka Chaturvedi, Uddhav Thackeray says he's proud of Sanjay Raut. Abhiman hai. ED says there is evidence of money laundering. Isn't your leader, ma'am, prejudging this case? Why not wait for courts to decide whether Sanjay Raut is guilty or not based on evidence?
Because all the evidence that has been, used by the ED, which is none as of now, there's no documentary evidence to prove any of these charges. There is no case against him. These are all cooked up charges that you are seeing, and we are confident that he would not cow down under this pressure. It is political vendetta at its best, and let me quote you a simple figure. And we say this with utmost confidence because and respect to whatever parliamentary question that I had put in has been answered to by the Minister of State Finance, where he has through figures told us that 27 times increase in ED investigations and summons ever since this government came into power. 2004 to 2014, around 200 odd summons, and from 2014 to now, over 3,000 summons have been issued. Now let's look at the conviction rate. Again, a part of my parliamentary question. They're asking him that how many have been charge sheeted, how many have been convicted. The number is 23 people have been charge sheeted or convicted. That's 0.5% of the summons notices that you all are sending across. What does it speak of? It speaks very clearly of Enforcement Directorate becoming extended department of BJP, working as per the script of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Okay. So we speak with confidence that this is nothing but a political witch hunt against Sanjay Raut ji, because he had been speaking vocally against the government, whether it was in the centre, whether it was in the state.
Okay, so you are saying this is a witch hunt. The Enforcement Directorate, and ma'am, you are saying that there is no evidence. The Enforcement Directorate says Praveen Raut received about 100 crore rupees from HDIL, this housing development company. This money was diverted to multiple firms, associates, companies, business entities, and also to Sanjay Raut's wife, to his family. 83 odd lakhs were used to buy a flat in Dadar. Is that true? Is that not true? Should Sanjay Raut not clarify in courts whether funds came to his family and whether those funds were used to buy a flat at Dadar, and whether once investigation started, 55 lakhs were returned?
Again, documentary evidence versus information that is being leaked by the ED to the media. I will just say one thing. Do you remember 2014, pre-2014, there was this entire 2G, 3G scam and a huge number that came on the front page of Times of India, if I'm not mistaken. It was a leading publication, I'd say. It was quoted by CAG, which is Vinod Rai ji. What happened to that? No documentary evidence to prove that, and that case has fallen flat. And today, the Vinod Rai ji is sitting in charge of some other position that has been given to him by the government of India. So again, these charges, the 100 crores, 1,200 crores, 12,000 crores, 1,20,000 crores, 2,40,000 crores can be quoted by ED. But till they do not have any documentary evidence to prove their claim, till then it's nothing but just a witch hunt being used by the Bharatiya Janata Party to silence its opposition.
Okay. You are saying that there is no documentary evidence. You are saying ED's conviction/charge sheet rate is 0.05% as responded to by the government in Parliament. But Priyanka Chaturvedi, the ED says it's not restricted just to one flat in Dadar. There are allegations, or ED is investigating money trail that resulted in the purchase of at least 8 plots, not just flats, 8 plots in Alibag, including in the names of family members of Sanjay Raut, his wife, and one Swapna Patkar. Now, all these allegations, should Sanjay Raut not come clean on them, not come clean on these allegations, instead of saying, I'm in Parliament, I'm busy in Parliament, I'll come to you at a later date?
No, PMLA charges is just another tool for ED to go ahead and put some charges and leave the onus. It's unfortunate Supreme Court judgment where the onus of proving yourself innocent is now on the one who is accused. Till now, we believe law followed the thought of innocent till proven guilty, but the recent Supreme Court hearing, and with all due respect to the Supreme Court, the verdict has put the onus on the accused. Having said that, whether it is 8 properties in Alibag or whether it is the Dadar property, everything is accounted for, everything shows in his returns, everything is, I would again go to say, has been done under the notice of, financial transactions and transparency. For them to make up these charges, they will have to prove this in the court of law. Yes. And we are all waiting and watching.
Okay. Now, you gave a suspension of business notice in Rajya Sabha on the alleged misuse, and you've said, and the opposition is saying that whether it's the Enforcement Directorate or the Central Bureau of Investigation or the Income Tax Department, these government agencies are being misused. Ma'am, how are you moving forward on that?
So I wanted this discussion to happen, and this discussion does not just relate to my party. It also relates to a lot of opposition members of parliament, opposition leaders, and forget the opposition for a minute. It is now the Enforcement Directorate is now being used as a weapon to silence any kind of opposition, whether you look at businesses, you look at corporates, you look at any vocal opponent who has a strong influence in their area. They have been using it very often and very generously. So this needs to be discussed. Are we compromising our institutions to empower the central government, or are we going to have institutions that were built on the back of ensuring that transparency in businesses, transparency in conduct is maintained and there is some accountability? Unfortunately, we have a situation where today ED itself is not accountable for its deeds, its mistakes, and even if it errs, there's no accountability of the bureaucrats who have erred. So that is a dangerous situation to be in. But again, the Rajya Sabha deemed it fit to not discuss it. I will keep protesting about it because this is not just about our collective futures. It is about the collective future of us as a democracy.
But Priyanka Chaturvedi, that's a grave charge to level on officials, whether it's of the Enforcement Directorate or the CBI. You say government agencies, Income Tax Department, CBI or ED, there is zero accountability. Now, are you apprehensive that this Patra Chawl fire could next singe your leader, Uddhav Thackeray?
No, we're not worried, and if they do also reach out to him, we will ensure that everything is handled the way it should be handled. Having said that, it's not a charge. Let me ask you a question. You said I've leveled a grave charge against the ED. Forget the ED. Let me ask you CBI. Let me ask you CAG. Let me ask you income tax. Let me ask you anyone in the bureaucracy. In the recent times, any accountability sought on figures that were quoted as part of corruption? They were not accountable. They were promoted. Those people who've leveled charges of corruption, which have not been proven in any court of law, a person has been found not guilty, but his entire image tainted, entire career tainted. But any bureau officer who leveled these charges, has there been any action coming against them? If you can remember any particular person, I'd be happy to correct myself. So it's not a charge, it is a fact. That today you can come and point a finger at a politician, call him corrupt, make him go through the entire rigorous process of legislation or judiciary. And once the person comes, gets a clean sheet, shouldn't the one who has leveled these charges be held accountable? They go away without accountability. That is my point. And having said that, ED, IT, CBI have an important responsibility towards this nation. They should remember that. Their responsibility is not towards the government or the political party in power. It is towards the government of towards the country.
Okay. But as of now, ma'am, your party is split. Several leaders of the Shiv Sena are no longer with Uddhav Thackeray, and your leader gave the example of Hammam and Pani and all of that. But with your party split, what is the next course of action for you and for Uddhav Thackeray or your faction of the Shiv Sena, ma'am?
So, just one more the question that you asked me previously, I'll just say one thing. India saw a rebellion in the ranks in Maharashtra, in Shiv Sena, which was engineered totally by the Bharatiya Janata Party. And I say this with the utmost respect for how the processes work. But I can say it was engineered by the Bharatiya Janata Party. And there were two kinds of Shiv Sena that you're clearly seeing. Those who feared and ran away, those who feared the process and ran away, and those who are standing and facing these kind of onslaught coming from the central agencies and central government. So who's facing these charges is Sanjay Raut ji, and we are all standing strong behind him. Those who feared are today sitting in the BJP camp and reading out a script provided by the Bharatiya Janata Party. 30 days of no cabinet in the state of Maharashtra. Nobody's questioning that. Nobody's asking questions. Him running to Delhi every single day but not finalizing the cabinet is an unfortunate situation we are in. This is the fear. This is the fear of ED that is being instilled on every single representative of the public.
Priyanka Chaturvedi for joining me here on the news track. Many thanks. And we here at India Today, we ask questions including on government formation or cabinet not being formed in Maharashtra. But now I want to throw this open to our guests. China NC, the enforcement directorate is being used to silence voices of the opposition, says the Shiv Sena. Uddhav Thackeray has said, like real life Pushpa, Sanjay Raut is strong. He will not bend. Wo jhukega nahi.
At the outset, let me please say that there are few investigative agencies that work on the premise of the substantive evidence that is procured. One being the Enforcement Directorate and the second being the CBI. Now, we all know the reference to context. If you have a Patra Chawl where there has been, whether it's HDIL, including people from their families who have given money, received money, kickbacks been giving, money laundering to the tune of 1,040 crores. Is this not a serious charge, Gaurav? If the Enforcement Directorate has accumulated and collected thousands of crores of ill-gotten wealth, which belongs to you, me, and the taxpayers, is this not substantive? I want to ask that, are they supposed to do their job based on evidence or on judgment? We are not for 1 minute suggesting that Sanjay Raut is guilty or innocent, but political insulation, and for those people who believe that in positions of power, they can get away scot-free and get away with the understanding that because they belong to a political party, there will be no investigation. Gone are those days. do understand
Rajpunj,
that we want
response, sir.
transparency, we
Gone are
want
those days.
accountability.
You're being a political leader or a member of parliament gives you that immunity from prosecution in case you're allegedly involved in a 1,034 or 1,040 crore rupees scam. And Sanjay Raut will have to go through the process and explain whether crores came to his family through these properties or plots in the Patra Chawl scam.
गौरव जी देखिए सब अभी जो भी बातें हैं ये सब कुछ है ऑल ऑफ जस्ट इन्वेस्टिगेशन सब इन्वेस्टिगेशन के थ्रू है और इन्वेस्टिगेशन आज तक पिछले 2.5 सालों से आप जब से देख रहे हैं सरकार बनी है हमने कभी भी ईडी सीबीआई एनसीबी कभी इनके ऊपर कभी उंगली नहीं उठाई हमेशा रिस्पेक्ट ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट हमने कभी भी कहा कि अपने काम उनको करने दीजिए वो जो भी उनका काम है उनको निष्पक्ष होकर करना चाहिए हमने कहा पॉइंटेड नहीं होना चाहिए कभी मतलब आप जस्ट एक शख्स के ऊपर आप उसको पॉइंट करें वो नहीं होना चाहिए बाकी आप अपना काम कीजिए अगर किसी ने कोई गलत किया ही नहीं तो उसके साथ गलत होगा कैसे तो बिल्कुल और इस तरह से गौरव जी अगर हम कहेंगे कि आज जो भी बातें हो रही हैं 1000 करोड़ की हो रही हैं या व्हाटएवर द 637 प्लॉट इज हाउसेज इज देयर एंड आइदर द 3500 टू बी कंस्ट्रक्टेड वो होने थे या नहीं हुए या गुरु आशीष कंपनी के थ्रू होना था या क्या होना था तो ऑल जो भी है ये सब एक उस पे है कि अभी जो भी
टाइम आउट इन्वेस्टिगेशन होना चाहिए बट मुनीश पांडे enforcement director officials are in the line of fire. They are being called an extension, ED, extension department of BJP, says Priyanka Chaturvedi of the Shiv Sena. Sanjay Raut, Shiv Sena claims Sanjay Raut sought time to appear before the ED after the parliament session. How is ED responding to this allegation that this is vendetta, that they went and arrested him, not giving him an extension? Munish.
Yeah, well, Gaurav, as far as this entire case is concerned and the role of enforcement directorate is concerned, what they are claiming that they have 3 hard evidence apart from the other documentary evidences and witness statement, which anyone can say that they have been taken under, under pressure or there is any other thing. That allegation can be leveled against the enforcement directorate. But as far as the documentary evidence is concerned, I have the documents from the enforcement directorate. It was presented before the court also. And what the enforcement directorate has claimed before the court is that there was one transaction in 2009 and this was a private, it was a direct account to account transaction between Praveen Raut and Varsha Raut, wife of Sanjay Raut. That is one instance. Second is there was an investment of 29.50 lakh rupees by Sanjay Raut and Varsha Raut in a company of Praveen Raut. But within a month, that 29.5 lakh rupees was returned to Sanjay Raut and Varsha Raut. In addition to that, there was a profit of 37.5 lakh rupees given to Sanjay Raut and Varsha Raut. Apart from that, the most interesting part is, which the ED is claiming, that there was an investment of 5,625 rupees. Again, I will repeat, 5,625 rupees, and in exchange of that there was a profit of 13,94,375 lakh rupees given to Sanjay Raut's wife. In overall, it comes to 1 crore and 6 lakh rupees. Now, what ED sources are telling us that in which scheme any common person has seen that if you invest 30 lakh rupees, you will get a profit of 37 lakh rupees. That is, if within a month you will get 67 lakh rupees by investing just 30 lakh rupees. Apart from that, you are investing 5,000 rupees, you are getting 13 lakh rupees. And now ED is claiming these are the documentary evidence. They have the bank balance, they have the transaction details from both the sides, and based on these documents, based on these evidence, they have arrested Sanjay Raut. Now,
so let's take this step by step. Let's take this step by step because all of this is evidence that ED says will be submitted before a court of law. But Sahil, Uddhav Thackeray called Sanjay Raut a true Shiv Sainik. He's backing him to the hilt. Now, is there no fear that this Patra Chawl fire of this 1,034 crore rupees could singe him too, given the kind of evidence ED is producing in courts of law? Invest 5,000 rupees, get back 30 lakh rupees?
Well, Gaurav, Uddhav Thackeray's statement here, while supporting Sanjay Raut, it's coming from the background what happened in June, month of June. The split, the Shinde group split with the 40 MLAs, and he is hinting at those people who actually went to the Shinde group because there were ED cases against them. There were income tax raids against those people, and he has given particular examples about that. Specifically, if you talk about Kirit Somaiya had made allegations against Narayan Rane in 2017. Yes. Narayan Rane joined BJP. Kirit Somaiya stopped his allegations. He wanted an ED probe, which never happened. Uddhav Thackeray was hinting at this case as well. He was hinting at the case of Bhavna Gavli. Bhavna Gavli is now the chief whip of the Shinde group, which they claim is that Shiv Sena group in Lok Sabha. She was summoned 5 times by the ED officials. She never presented herself to the ED office. Now she has joined the Shinde group. She has not been called again by the ED officials in any of the cases. Anand Rao Adsul, another Shiv Sena leader, he was, he got himself hospitalized when the ED officials went to ask him for to ask him questions. He did not appear in front of the ED. He was summoned multiple times, but he did not go there. He admitted himself in the hospital. Finally, now he had joined the Shinde group. No action against him. Kirit Somaiya had levied allegations against Anand Rao Adsul as well. Then Yashwant Zadav, one of the biggest example. He was the standing committee chairman 3 times in the BMC, was supposed to be very close to Uddhav Thackeray and the family. In fact, during the income tax raids, a diary was confiscated from his residence, which had an entry that he had gifted a watch worth rupees lakhs to Matoshri. And Yashwant Zadav also tried to clarify that the Matoshri means the mother, his mother. Yashwant Zadav today is one of the deputy leader in the Shinde group. His wife, MLA from the Baikala constituency, had joined the Shinde group, and now there is no action against him. So basically what he tries to say, Uddhav Thackeray, is that the people who had who had ED cases or the income tax cases, the central agencies behind these people, Pratap Sarnaik, one of the MLAs, had written an open letter to Uddhav Thackeray saying that join hands with the BJP, they will stop the ED probe, because there was a ED probe against Pratap Sarnaik as well. So he was hinting at these people, that these people, according to Uddhav Thackeray, went and joined the Shinde camp because they had central agencies cases against them.
Response, Shaina NC, that's a very grave charge that's being leveled by the Shiv Sena, that it's the BJP ki washing machine. Anybody who joins the BJP, no investigation, the trail just goes cold. And where is Priyanka Chaturvedi wrong when she says the enforcement directorate is nothing but an extension department of the BJP to coerce the opposition to fall in line?
I have just 2 submissions to make. One, nobody is above the law. Irrespective, whoever it could be a member of any political party, it could be an ordinary citizen. What is the ED probing? Whether it is a bank scam, whether it is money laundering, whether it's transactions, how HDIL gave Praveen Raut, Mrs. Raut, etc., are all in the public domain now. As we speak, none of us are sitting on judgment. We are only saying that, yes, perpetrators of crime and gross corruption needs to be exposed and they need to be accountable for it. I don't
But
think
all parties, those who join the BJP,
yes,
the trail suddenly goes cold there, ma'am.
No. I would request you, Gaurav, to do a fact-finding to see the kind of funds which have been recovered by the ED on investigation of all these wrongdoings of money laundering, etc. And I would just like to add to what Sahil said. He said people have joined BJP, and earlier Priyanka said that BJP has split Shiv Sena. I want to ask that when a party has an exodus of 40 MLAs moving out because they're so stifled, they believe that there is no commonality of any ideology. Their leadership, whether they're accessible or not, is a personal question. So I would not want to jump into that. But the Bharatiya Janata Party has had people from every political party be inspired by Prime Minister Modi, his working style and his clean image. And for those who want to join the Bharatiya Janata Party, they're not joining because of insulation as you're suggesting. They are joining because they believe that there is a larger cause, and that cause is best known to them. So I don't want to be their spokesperson. But when the ED is doing its job based on...
Shiv Sena
No,
says
when
it's coercion of the enforcement directorate, but you've raised a point, and let me bring in Rajpunj onto this fact. Rajpunj, क्या उद्धव ठाकरे के लिए उनका लक्ष्य, वो अभी संजय राउत को बचा रहे और कह रहे हैं कि वो पुष्पा की तरह है कि वो झुकेगा नहीं, असली शिव सैनिक वही है, हिंदू हृदय सम्राट बाला साहेब ठाकरे की दिशा निर्देश पर वही चल रहे हैं, लेकिन क्या उद्धव ठाकरे का लक्ष्य वो जो 672 लोग हैं जिनको आज तक घर नहीं मिला इतने वर्षों बाद, उनको न्याय दिलाना नहीं होना चाहिए?
देखिए गौरव जी, हम कभी भी कानून के बीच में नहीं आते और कानून को हमेशा अपना काम करने देना चाहिए। उसमें जो भी लोग इस तरह से उसमें शामिल हैं उसके ऊपर कार्यवाही करेगी, तो उसमें तो कोई स्वाभाविक है, उसमें कोई इशू नहीं है। लेकिन दूसरी बात यह है कि अब दूसरी तरफ आप ये देखिए कि आज जो हमारे गद्दावर नेता है संजय राउत जी, जिन्होंने हमेशा शिव सैनिक क्यों उद्धव साहब ठाकरे ने बोला, हमारे हिंदू जो इस प्रकार की रणनीति और इस प्रकार के तहत जो हमारी शिवसेना है, उसके अंदर शिव सैनिक जो होता है वो सही को सही और गलत को गलत कहता है। तो गलत को गलत और सही को सही कहना, तो तब कहां गए थे भारतीय जनता पार्टी? जब अयोध्या का मामला था, जब CAA का मामला था, जब 370 का मामला था, तभी तो यही नेता थे, यही संजय राउत जी थे जिन्होंने खुल के इस बात पर समर्थन दिया था, इसके ऊपर बोला था। तो आज अगर वो विरोध कर रहे हैं किसी बात का, अगर आपको विरोध नहीं झेला जाता या आपको नहीं सहन होता, तो इसमें क्या है? इसमें आप मतलब ये पॉलिटिकल वेंडेटा हो जाएगा, राजनीतिक आप प्रतिशोध की भावना क्यों इसके बीच में लेके आएंगे? मैं दूसरी बात कहता हूँ, नॉमिनेट नहीं होना चाहिए। नॉमिनेट करके किसी को आप प्रताड़ित करें या इस प्रकार से आप उसको लेके आए, तो वो गलत है।
उनका प्रोसिक्यूशन हो रहा है और प्रोसिक्यूशन नहीं, लेकिन साहिल, is the Shiv Sena in the line of fire that Uddhav Thackeray defends Sanjay Raut instead of campaigning for rights of those 672 people of Patra Chawl who are still waiting for their house after so many years, Sahil?
Well, there are multiple questions in this case, and you know, we can't just give an answer in a way that which will satisfy everybody. Is there a Patra Chawl case? Yes. The people have been waiting for their houses? Yes. Have they been duped by the builder? Yes. Have they been duped by the builder and the politicians' nexus? Yes. They have been waiting for the houses since 2010. There are at least 3 governments which have passed since 2010, but still these people did not get their houses. Yes. The builders who benefited out of this nexus, who are building their houses and selling it to the people, yes. So, you know, there are multiple angles to this story. Now, important part here is that, you know, after 15 years, this happened in 2010, the Patra Chawl people have been waiting for their houses since last 10 to 12 years. After 12 years, finally, enforcement direct, and let me tell you, Mumbai EOW, Economic Offences Wing, had already taken the case, had already arrested Pravin Raut in this case. In 2021, ED registered the case, and after that, ED arrested Pravin Raut in the month of February. They have already filed a charge sheet against Pravin Raut, who is supposed to be very close to Sanjay Raut, and ED's case is that Pravin Raut is a front of Sanjay Raut. So obviously, the people who are at loss are not getting the houses yet. Finally, last year, the Maharashtra Housing Development Authority decided that they are going to build those houses and hand it over to the 672 families who have been suffering since last 12 years. So the onus is on the politicians. The onus is definitely on the political party who had you know, their base in that particular area. Onus is also on the politicians who were involved in this particular scam, and if the people have not got houses. So
in
there
fact,
are two
Sahil,
different things.
the Shiv Sena says the onus is also on the enforcement directorate. That why did the enforcement directorate not take action despite investigating this case initially when the Shiv Sena and the BJP were together, Munish, and that is something that the ED should come clean on. Shiv Sena says, when we were with the BJP, no action was taken against us. Only when they split with the BJP did the ED come into force to take action against Sanjay Raut and others. Munish.
Well, Gaurav, these allegations are not new for the enforcement directorate, and in past also there have been multiple such allegations by the opposition leaders and opposition parties claiming that whenever the person is in opposition, then there is a investigation against that person by the Enforcement Directorate. But if the same person is under investigation, and between that, if the person joins the BJP or a alliance party of BJP, then there is no action against the very same person. Now, these are allegations, but officially, whenever I have spoken to the official, they have claimed that not in a single case they have closed file of any person. The cases are under investigation. Maybe those persons have not been arrested, but not a single file has been closed by the Enforcement Directorate of those people who were earlier in opposition but now with the BJP.
Okay, files may not have been closed, but have they been put on the back burner? And is that the strategy that the Enforcement Directorate is adopting? But we'll be tracking the story very, very closely. Shaina NC, Raj Punj, Sahil Joshi and Munish for joining me here on this News Track special. Many thanks. It's still the 3rd of August that Sanjay Raut is in the custody. This case comes up in court once again on the 4th, and we'll be tracking it very closely. Up next, film star Aamir Khan. He's pleading with the audiences not to boycott his upcoming film Lal Singh Chadda. Says he's sad some people think he does not like India. That story coming up. Stay with us.
कुछ भी नहीं, मैं तो बिल्कुल चंगा हूँ। कहाँ रहते हो?
We have never demanded any action against Mr. Sanjay Raut, although he has spoken very bad words about it. And that may be a spontaneous reaction of one MLA, which is not correct. We are not against taking any personal action against anybody. If he has done anything wrong, then he will have to face the consequences. And if he hasn't done anything, then I don't see any, because when the central agencies take any action against anybody, they will have to produce them before the court, and there they will have to produce the evidences against that person. So that process is always there.
It is a corruption done by Sanjay Raut. Because of that, ED has done this investigation. And in the early morning itself, I have told Madam, and when that incident happened with me about Hanuman Chalisa, that time itself I have told, after a few months or few days, 101% this Sanjay Raut is going to get arrested by ED, and he is going to be there under custody of ED. Because already many cases of his, everything was coming out in Maharashtra, and we knew in and out. The way he was working like an agent of Mahavikas Aghadi from last 2.5 years, he was working like agent Pandal. He was working for all big builders, all big shot in from Mumbai and Maharashtra like an agent only.
Whether the issue is who is arrested, it depends upon the judiciary. Who is involved in scam? That is the main thing. If the evidence is produced by Mr. Somaya, not a single page till now in last 24 months, I have exposed all these people, including Sanjay Raut. He could not deny that the benefit he has achieved about the foreign tribute, his properties, involvement in Patra Chawl scam, participation in 2,000 crores, Unitech Pearl Group, the scam of Vasai, his tour and interaction with various people that Dubai.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. You are...
Welcome back with Boycott Lal Singh Chadda trending on social media platforms. The film's lead actor Aamir Khan has appealed to audiences not to boycott the film. He wants them to watch it. Aamir Khan says this film must be watched, should not be boycotted. And while some people may think that he does not like India, Amir Khan insists that's clearly not the case.
Looks like cancel culture is going too far in Bollywood, as latest victim is now Amir Khan's upcoming film Lal Singh Chaddha. That's right. Boycott calls for it has been trending on social media. So much so that the actor, during an interaction with media, spoke about his thoughts on the hatred towards films ahead of the release. He expressed that it does hurt him when people talk about boycotting Bollywood and Lal Singh Chaddha. The actor further added, and we quote, "Yes, I feel sad. Also, I feel sad that some of the people who are saying this in their heart, they believe that I am someone who doesn't like India. In their hearts, they believe, but it is untrue. It is rather unfortunate that some people feel that way. That's not the case. Please don't boycott my film. Please watch my film." Amir Khan is facing the brunt for his 2015 controversial comment where he said that India is becoming intolerant. The statement was dug up by netizens soon after the trailer of his film released. But this is not the first time an actor or a film has come under the social media scrutiny. From Alia Bhatt starrer Sadak 2 to Akshay Kumar's Lakshmi, boycott calls were made for all of them. In fact, India Today recently caught up with Kareena Kapoor Khan, who spoke about such trends.
The accessibility is there. Today, everyone has a voice. Today, there are different platforms. I mean, everyone has an opinion. So now if that is going to be there, then you have to learn to ignore certain things. Otherwise, then it will just become impossible to live your life.
For the unversed, Amir Khan, who was last seen in Thugs of Hindustan, is returning to the big screen with Lal Singh Chaddha after 4 long years. And it's the Hindi adaptation of Tom Hanks starrer Forrest Gump. The comedy drama, which also stars Kareena Kapoor Khan, Mona Singh and Naga Chaitanya in pivotal roles, has been in the making since 2019. And now, the Advait Chandan directorial is finally set to hit cinemas on August 11th. Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
मेरी मम्मी कहती थी कि जिंदगी गोलगप्पे जैसी होती है, पेट पले ही पर जावे, मन नहीं परता.
Who will be the Congress's chief ministerial candidate in Karnataka? The list just seems to be becoming bigger and bigger. The two claimants, initially the party's chief ministerial faces, D.K. Sivakumar and Sitharaman, have been at war for weeks. Now a fan video is pitching Sitharaman as the prospective chief ministerial candidate, and this has set the pace for a new political face-off.
Heavy shots fired in the Congress party's endless internal war for the chief ministerial candidate position. This song by former Chief Minister Siddharamayya's fan association, embedded with images of a grooving Siddha, have taken Karnataka's internet by storm. The latest in this escalating war, where Siddharamaya has been defending his right to be the Congress's chief minister face against State Congress President D.K. Shivakumar, who's been busy painting himself the Congress's numero uno for the assembly elections coming up in 9 months. In a thinly veiled, festering face-off, the two leaders have all but thrown verbal punches at each other. With Congress MP Rahul Gandhi arriving in Karnataka on Tuesday, could there be some clarity on which cat gets the political cream? Of course, Rahul is arriving in the state to be part of Siddharamayya's 75th birthday celebration, an ongoing bone of contention between the two feuding leaders.
He will be coming here and holding a political affairs committee meeting, which will give a shape for the politics of Karnataka from the Congress party. After that morning, he is going to the 75 years of birthday of my CLP leader.
But in the finest traditions of Congress disarray and confusion, the DK Siddha feud isn't even the headline story in today's chapter of the Nataka. Because ahead of Rahul's arrival, old Gandhi loyalist and former Congress Chief Minister of Karnataka, Veerappa Moily, has bowled his own political googly.
ಪ್ರದೇಶ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ಶಿಫಾರಸು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ. ಅವರು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಒಂದು ಆದರ್ಶ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಆಗಲಿಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಯೋಗ್ಯ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾನು
In the caste-drenched battlefield of Karnataka, Moily's words are a veritable bombshell. Siddaramaiah is an OBC leader, while DK Shivakumar is from the Vokkaliga community. What Moily has done by proposing SR Patil is to field a leader from the dominant Lingayat community, the same community as current Chief Minister Bommai, as well as his predecessor from the BJP, B.S. Yediyurappa. As this public internal Congress fight continues, the party's battle readiness will probably take a hit, with cadres and workers divided between the leaders and not working as one to take on the BJP. Is this building up to another Congress disaster? With Priyanka Rudrappa and Nagarjun Dwarakanath in Bengaluru, Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, that is all we have time for on the news track this evening. Many thanks for watching. Rajdeep Sardesai comes up next with the news today at 9. Stay with us.
Will Metaverse replace our reality? Can it? We don't know that yet, but in its present form, it kind of is a duplicate of the physical world. But the only way to access it is via the internet. The idea of Metaverse has its roots in many sci-fi narratives from the 90s. It exists either as immersive online games, workrooms, virtual concerts, or much more. So what can you do in the Metaverse? Apparently a lot. From watching your favorite pop star to working as personalized avatars in a virtual workspace, Metaverse can make that happen. It will eventually be possible to do exactly what we do in reality thanks to a virtual reality freed from physical constraints. As interactions increase, it will be possible to meet people, make purchases, and pay in cryptocurrency or go sightseeing while staying at home. Well, virtual tourism seems like a nice idea in the comfort of your room. What tools would you need for Metaverse? You'd need virtual reality headsets and a good internet connection for starters. Virtual reality headsets will allow us to immerse ourselves in 3D worlds in the form of avatars animated by our movements. But it will require an enormous amount of computing power to allow millions of people to act simultaneously in that virtual space. Even devices that recreate taste, smell, and touch could be invented. What do you think? Are you ready for the Metaverse?
We are picking up from our sources within the ED that Sanjay Raut continues to not cooperate during the investigations. First of all, how do you react to that? He's been saying that when he communicated already that he will be available post the 7th of August, then what is this drama about?
See, I'll tell you one thing. He will create all these things. He will do all nonsense things. He's bought in all Uddhav Thackeray's gundes on road. He will do all nonsense things because he's not clean on his part, madam. If he would have cleaned, then he would have attended all the inquiries as given notice given by the ED department. Now all the ED department has reached to his house and they all are searching about this. If it is clean, he should answer them. Why he's not cooperating him? Why
But
he's
to
not
ask you,
cooperating
Navneet
with the
Rana,
department?
you know, MPs have been saying, Shiv Sena MPs have been saying that he is also a member of parliament. So what is wrong with him wanting to perform his duty as a parliamentarian and attend the proceedings in the house?
See, that is what, when they have worked against, they have misused their power against me as a member of parliament. They have put me behind the bar only in the name of Hanuman Chalisa. I was supposed to chant Hanuman Chalisa in front of Uddhav Thackerji. They have done a same misuse of the power, and same thing. It is not used. They are not misusing the power against him. They are using their power. What power the law has given to the ED department. All the member of parliament from Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, both houses, member has taken initiative and given all the powers to the department. He should go and face the department's investigation. Why he's not doing so? Because he's a corruption. He's done corruption. He's a corrupted leader. See, tell me one thing. A simple editor of some newspaper, from where he gets so much of property that he have no answer to answer this department. If he is so clean, then he should go in front of them and answer everything. Where Alibaug's property comes from, where this Goregaon's Patra Chawl, this issue comes from. And 25 to 30 companies still are there where he is involved directly and indirectly with all the big shot builders from Maharashtra, where that all inquiry comes from. See, from Mahavikas Aghadi, he became an agent of Mahavikas Aghadi and he was working and he's doing corruption for these people.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
You are watching
Presented by Aditya Birla Capital. Co-presented by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist. Co-presented by JK Tyre Ranger Series. Stay wild at heart.
Good evening and welcome. You're with the news today. This is your primetime destination news. Newsmakers, talking points, news without the noise. We'll be bringing you the big story a day after the Enforcement Directorate arrests the Shiv Sena leader Sanjay Raut. Are all opposition states now on the ED radar? or is this a cleanup, or is the BJP a washing machine? That's going to be the big talking point on the news today. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9 tonight. Parliament debates price rise after days of disruption. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman says India controlled inflation despite the pandemic, is still the fastest growing economy in the world. The opposition says the government is not answering questions on price rise. Congress MPs walk out. A political war breaks out over Shiv Sena's loudest voice, Sanjay Raut being arrested. Uddhav Thackeray claims his close aide has been framed by the Enforcement Directorate. Raut will remain in ED custody for 3 more days. Agency says they have ample proof against him. No documents to show that Union Minister Smriti Irani or daughter owned a Goa restaurant, says the Delhi High Court, says there was an intent to malign and damage her reputation. The Congress has much to answer. Speculation rife over a political plot to topple the JMM-led Jharkhand government. FIR filed by Congress MLA accuses the 3 MLAs of bribery on the behest of Assam Chief Minister Hemanta Biswa Sarma. Sarma denies the claim. Amidst the war between Siddaramaiah and DK Shivkumar for Kaun Banega Congress's Mukhyamantri face, SR Patil now enters Karnataka Congress CM face race. Delhi goes dry due to the Aam Aadmi Party's excise policy flip-flop. Nearly 500 liquor shops shut, pubs and bars running short of booze. Massive fire breaks out in a Jabalpur hospital, charring 10 people to death. 2 are critically injured. Reliance Jio emerges as the top bidder in the 5G spectrum auction, a record of over rupees 1.5 lakh crore worth of 5G telecom spectrum sold in a 7-day auction. And India records its first death due to monkeypox. Death of a 22-year-old in Thrissur confirmed to be that of monkeypox as results from NIV Pune turned positive. But tonight, our top story is on the Enforcement Directorate. Now, in the 1970s, they would say income tax, IT, would spread fear among politicians. In the 21st century, it is ED, Enforcement Directorate. After a marathon grilling at his residence and then at the ED office, Shiv Sena leader Sanjay Raut was arrested late last night in connection with an alleged housing scam in Mumbai. The court has now sent Raut to ED custody till the 4th of August. But a political war has broken out. The Shiv Sena claims that their leader has been framed because he took on the BJP. The Enforcement Directorate claims that Raut has much to answer for. In a moment, we'll look at the bigger picture of how opposition-ruled states seem to be squarely under the ED's radar for now. And the question that will be asked, is this a cleanup? Or is the BJP acting like a washing machine using the ED? That's going to be the big talking point. But first, take a look at the rise and fall of Sanjay Raut, the Shiv Sena's loudest noise.
After 2 marathon rounds of grilling and raids in the Patra Chawl land scam case, Shiv Sena MP Sanjay Raut is arrested by the Enforcement Directorate. Right before the midnight arrest, Raut hugged his mother in front of television cameras. An emotional touch adding to what was already a dramatic chain of events.
Sanjay Raut झुकेगा नहीं ना पार्टी छोड़ेगा ना शिवसेना छोड़ेगा.
The ED claimed that Sanjay Raut and his wife got 1.06 crore rupees as proceeds of a crime in 3 payments. According to the ED, 55 lakh rupees was first allegedly received in Sanjay Raut's wife Varsha Raut's bank account. Within a month, 37.50 lakh was allegedly received by Raut and his wife, who used the funds to purchase a flat. The agency claimed Avni Infrastructure, formed in the name of Varsha Raut and Madhuri Raut, wife of Praveen Raut, allegedly received 13.94 lakh rupees. The ED also alleged that Sanjay Raut bought land parcels in Alibag around Kihim Beach. It quoted a witness to allege 60 to 70% payments for the land deals was done in cash. The ED also alleged that between 2010 and 2014, Sanjay Raut received 2 lakh rupees per month in cash from Praveen Raut. Raut's lawyer argued in court that the MP was arrested due to political vendetta under changed political circumstances. He called ED's allegations speculative. The court has sent Raut to ED custody till August 4th.
The ED has got custody of Sanjay Raut but with riders. ED officials cannot interrogate Sanjay Raut at night due to his ill health. They must also ensure that the MP gets his medicine and he should be hospitalized if required. Raut can speak to his lawyers.
Cornered by the ED, Raut got support from his party chief. Uddhav Thackeray paid a visit to the Raut household in a mark of support and attacked the BJP and Shinde government.
मुझे संजय राउत पर अभिमान है और बाला साहब का असली सैनिक सिर्फ वो पिक्चर देखने के लिए ठीक है पुष्पा झुकेगा नहीं लेकिन ये झुका नहीं जो झुकने वाले थे वो हमाम में चले गए और झुकने वाला कभी शिवसैनिक नहीं हो सकता
पॉलिटिकल सर्कस चल रही है और जो भी इस राज्य में चल रहा है वो डेमोक्रेसी को पकड़ के नहीं है लोकशाही को पकड़ के नहीं।
While Sena is crying vendetta, the central agency claims it has proved to nail the MP. The opposition, however, accuses the ED of inaction against BJP and Shinde Sena loyalists accused of corruption, including Union Minister Narayan Rane, Pratap Sarnayak and Yamini Jadhav. With Divyesh Singh in Mumbai and Munish Pandey in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, Mumbai is a city where real estate is priceless, and most of these scams or alleged scams are linked to real estate. Sanjay Raut's alleged scam is no different. There was a particular Chawl area, a low housing income area in Mumbai, where the tenants were moved out after promising them flats once the area is redeveloped. They were to get rent till the flats were handed over to them. Now, the residents claim not only did the rent stop coming, but the flats were nowhere near completion. What happened instead was allegedly a company, a Benami company in which Raut had interests, tied up with another building promoter and claimed they would build these flats. Instead, the money reportedly was siphoned out to Raut and his associates, or so the ED claims. What is the story? This is the Patra Chawl case, which has nailed the Shiv Sena's loudest noise. Take a look.
Tears in her eyes, Sharda Bhandari recounts the problems she has faced over the years.
नहीं जो कोई मतलब में काम करते उधर खाना देते हैं वो लोग थोड़ा वो खाते नहीं तो हम लोग पानी बिस्किट खा के दिन चलाते हैं.
Sharda stays in a small room with her daughter, a 10th standard student. Ever since her husband died, she's been forced to work in nearby homes for a living.
आप महीने में 5-6 हज़ार कमाते हो, 2000 स्कूल में चला जाता है, 2000 ट्यूशन चला जाता है.
हाँ महीने में भरती है ना मैं.
और 2000 यहाँ से आप किसी तरीके से अपना घर चलाते हो. आपके साथ एक 10th में जो बच्ची है वो भी है.
हाँ.
Sharda was evicted from her room in the Chawl in 2008. For 6 years, she was compensated with a monthly payment. In 2014, the construction company which took over the land stopped the payments. After that, life went downhill for Sharda and her family. Naresh Sonawane and his wife Sheila were evicted from Patra Chawl in 2011. Their condition is very similar to Sharda's.
अभी सब बहुत तकलीफ हो रहा है. अभी आओ पैसा किधर से भाड़ा किधर से तो घर कैसा चलो ये टेंशन में अभी बहुत कंट्रोल ही है. पत्रा चल ये लोग आज भाड़ा देंगे कल देंगे ऐसा कर करके हम लोग एक 1.5 साल से उनके घर में रह रहे कि तुमको हम कैसा भी भाड़ा करके देंगे डिपॉजिट देंगे. इसलिए भी वो लोग लास्ट में बोले हम तुम हमें 1 महीना भर में घर खाली करो करके ऐसा रूम वाले बोल दिए हम.
Naresh, who works in a local garage, says that the family sold the little gold they had after their savings dried up. His wife says they've lost faith in the government.
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं भरोसा आ रहा है. क्या करेंगे? हाँ, जब तक चाबी नहीं मिल रहा है, तब तक हम लोग भरोसा ही नहीं कर सकते कि हम लोग का काम चालू है करके.
In 2007, Guru Ashish Constructions, a sister concern company of HDIL, was awarded the contract for redevelopment of Patra Chawl by the Maharashtra Housing and Area Development Authority. Guru Ashish Constructions had to develop flats for 672 tenants of Patra Chawl, and about 3,000 flats had to be handed over to the authority. Guru Ashish Constructions did not redevelop the Patra Chawl or any other flats and sold floor space to around 8 other builders for 1,034 crore rupees. With Shiv Sena leader Sanjay Raut's arrest, the focus is back on Patra Chawl. The people are least concerned about who was responsible for their plight. All they want is a roof that was promised.
हम भी यही सोच रहे हैं कि जो चीज़ 2008 से शुरू हुई है, पानी सर के ऊपर जा चुका है, हर जगह पे उसी की चर्चा है, हर महाराष्ट्र की फिलहाल राजनीति इसी नाम पे चल रही है, हर कोई राजनीतिक फ़ायदा बटोरने के लिए इसी का नाम ले रहा है, लेकिन हमारा काम पूरा नहीं हो रहा है.
With Pankaj Upadhyay in Mumbai, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, in the last 1 week, 3 opposition-ruled states have seen anti-corruption action. 3 Congress MLAs from Jharkhand were arrested over the weekend by the Bengal police with nearly 50 lakh rupees in cash. The Congress alleges the money came from Assam Chief Minister Hemanta Biswa Sarma for toppling the JMM Congress government. The Assam Chief Minister has rejected the charge, but questions still remain. Is an attempt being made to topple that government? Because the Chief Minister Soren, his trusted aide, Pankaj Mishra, was arrested by the ED in a money laundering scam. In Bengal, of course, the ED raided last week TMC leader Partha Chatterjee's friend Arpita Mukherjee's flats, recovered over 50 crore rupees. Partha Chatterjee has had to resign. In Maharashtra, as we've been saying, the ED has arrested Sanjay Raut in the Patra Chawl redevelopment scam. So the big questions that we are going to raise today: the Enforcement Directorate, is it the ED or the Enabling Directorate for the government? Is it gunning for opposition leaders? Is the opposition interfering in the due process of law? Why should corruption accused get any kind of leeway? Joining me now, Shehzad Poonawalla, now the BJP star spokesperson, joins me. Dr. Shashi Panja is Minister West Bengal. Uttam Kumar Reddy is Congress Member of Parliament. Anand Dubey is the Shiv Sena spokesperson. Appreciate all of you joining us on the program today. Pehle chalte hain to Anand Dubey because the Shiv Sena is in the line of fire. You want to answer? Anand Dubey ji, ye bataiye. आप लोग कह रहे हैं ईडी की वजह से आपके नेता को जेल भेजा जा रहा है, लेकिन सच्चाई ये है कि स्कैम तो हुआ है. हमने स्टोरी आपके सामने रखी है पात्रा वाला स्कैम की. देयर कैन बी नो स्मोक विदाउट फायर. कुछ ना कुछ तो हुआ था जिसकी वजह से वो जेल में गए. वेंडेटा, बदला कोई एक्सक्यूज नहीं होता कोर्ट में. आपके डॉक्यूमेंट्स, फैक्ट्स जो हैं वो दिखाते हैं कि संजय राउत ने जरूर कहीं ना कहीं उनको फायदा हुआ. मानते हैं कि नहीं?
देखिए, ऐसा है कि राजदीप जी, पत्रा वाला चाल घोटाला तो हुआ है, कोई दो राय नहीं है इसमें. पिछले 12-15 सालों से वहां के रहवासियों पर अन्याय हुआ, उन्हें घर नहीं मिला. बट इस घोटाले से संजय राउत जी का क्या संबंध? जब संजय राउत जी कह रहे हैं कि हाँ, मैंने कुछ पैसे जरूर लिए थे, लोन के तौर पर लिए थे, जिनमें से मैंने कुछ पैसे वापस भी कर दिए, बट भाई इस घोटाले से मेरा क्या संबंध है? क्या प्रवीण राउत का नाम राउत होने की वजह से मैं संजय राउत हूं, इसलिए आप इसको जोड़ रहे हैं? देखिए, ऐसा है कि ईडी का दुरुपयोग भारतीय जनता पार्टी कर रही है, इससे अब कोई इनकार नहीं कर सकता. उसका कारण यह है कि पिछले 2-2.5 वर्षों से केंद्र की सरकार संजय राउत जी की जुबान को बंद करना चाहती थी और वो कंटिन्यू ये प्रयास कर रही थी कि संजय राउत को कैसे पकड़े, संजय राउत को कैसे परेशान करें. तो उन्होंने क्या किया कि एक 10-12-15 साल पुराने केस से उनको जोड़ा. लेकिन इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि वो दोषी हो गए. अरे भाई, आरोप लगे.
सर एक मिनट, ये बात भी सही है. देयर इज अ रिपोर्टेड मनी ट्रेल. दिस इज व्हाट द ईडी इज क्लेमिंग. मनी ट्रेल है. प्लॉट्स हैव बीन बॉट इन अलीबाग, plot was bought in Dadar, and the ED is claiming these are proceeds from what they are saying was the crime committed in Patra Chawl. This is, of course, everyone is innocent till proven guilty. ये देश का कानून है, लेकिन ये उनकी allegation है. पर मैं आपके पास फिर आऊंगा. I want to go to each of the opposition leaders and then come to Mr. Poonawalla. To you, sir, Uttam Kumar Reddy. In Jharkhand, you all are now claiming that the ED is being used to topple your alliance government with Hemant Soren. But the fact again is that the charge is a serious one. That Hemant Soren allegedly has acquired a mine in his name while being the mining minister, and the proceeds of that are being used for Hemant Soren's personal gain. The facts again, according to the ED, is therefore that Hemant Soren will have to answer money laundering charges. Every time you blame the ED turns around and says, don't interfere with the law.
Rajdeep, can I speak?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Please go
Rajdeep. Sorry, you got cut off. Now, Rajdeep, see, Rajdeep, to you and to all your viewers, one thing is clear. I've been in public life for a long time. I mean, I'm a member of parliament now, but I've been a legislator, a minister for a long time. The weaponization of the enforcement directorate is being done so brazenly and shamelessly by the BJP government. This is unprecedented. To bring to your notice, remind you again, who is the director of the enforcement directorate? An IRS officer called Sanjay Kumar Mishra. Probably in the annals of Indian parliament history, an act has been brought to continue Sanjay Kumar Mishra as director of ED, even after Supreme Court had given a direction that his tenure should not be first extended further. So this shows how much the BJP government is controlling the ED. This gentleman was appointed in 2018. When he finished his tenure in 2020, he was given an extension of 1 year. After that, the Supreme Court said he should not be given any more extension. The BJP government got an ordinance 2 days before he retired and then gave him an extension and then made the ordinance into an act. So that is the history of the present director of the ED. Now the second point is, have you seen anywhere in this country the enforcement directorate in the recent past, charging any BJP leader or any of their allies with any money laundering? And now look at the number of raids the ED has done. Between 2014 to 22, they have done 3,010 raids compared to 112 searches in the 10-year period between 2004 and 14. Now if you look at the number of cases and the conviction rate, 5,422 cases have been filed under the PMLA, and only 23 persons convicted, that is less than 0.5%. Now, Rajdeep, what I'm coming to is, using the ED, the BJP government is trying to humiliate, pressurize the opposition leaders. The process is the punishment. They also know, since these are not innocent, can never be proven in a court of law, they will be acquitted. So they're making the process as a punishment. Okay. Very unfortunate. The BJP government has, weaponized the ED to harass political parties.
You said that earlier, and I will give each one exact time before I come to Mr. Poonawalla. Now you, Dr. Panja, because the Trinamool Congress has also claimed this, that the process is the punishment earlier, that the ED is being used to target our leaders. But the fact is, cash was found. The large mounds of cash found at the aid of your minister Partho Chatterjee last week eventually forced you to make him resign, which means, I come back to it, there is no smoke without fire in all these cases, whether it's Mr. Raut, whether it's Mr. Soren, whether it's now Mr. Chatterjee. Why not accept that? Rather than say that the ED is targeting only our leaders, they are targeting you because they have found the cash on your leaders. They've found the money laundering trail.
Yes, Rajdeep, I agree with that. But what we do not agree with is the additional agenda. We also want the ED to investigate every case of corruption in the country. But there seems to be only an additional agenda which is very naked and very blatant. Unfortunately, the law enforcement agencies are selectively harassing, and we've said this before, that they are selectively harassing the non-BJP states and the leaders. What we just want to submit is, in fact, in West Bengal, just 2 days back, and you were questioning the Congress spokesman, that 3 MLAs of the Jharkhand Congress, belonging to the Jharkhand state of Jharkhand, they were caught with cash in Howrah, one of our districts in West Bengal. This was an MLA car, the car with the MLA nameplate, and they were caught. And there have been reactions to it from the Congress. Now, most importantly, the reaction which has come from a Congress leader, MLA, I think his name is Mr. Singh of Burma. And he has submitted a letter to the police station complaining that he was being lured to take money and probably promised an important ministerial berth in the future if he helps BJP to overturn the government. And by none less than he's mentioned the name of the Chief Minister of Assam, Hemant Biswa Sharma. Now, what we are trying to say is that there is money found out here. CID is investigating. There is a trail out here. And there is a proper letter of submission of an MLA pointing to a BJP Chief Minister. So why doesn't ED step into this investigation? So that is very funny that certain people and certain parties...
I think all three of you are making the same point more or less. You are claiming that the ED is being selective. You are claiming ED is being weaponized. You are claiming your leaders in the case of the Shiv Sena are being targeted as part of vendetta. You've heard these arguments, Shehzad Poonawala, respond to them. Because now this is becoming a constant refrain. Enforcement Directorate is an enabling directorate for this government to either topple governments or to settle scores of the opposition. Respond, please.
It's not an enabling department, Rajdeep. They think it is entitlement of Dinos to do dacoity. This entitlement of Dinos to do dacoity need to have a Sach ka samna today. Because, see, I'm missing the 4th pillar of corruption. 3 pillars of corruption are there. The 4th pillar of corruption is the Aam Aadmi Party. Now, what is their entire political slogan? Bhrashtachar is my adhikar. Bhrashtachar hum karte rahenge. This is our shishtachar. If you do any inquiry, it will become atyachar and we'll do durachar. Let me give you evidence one by one. Firstly, Uttam Reddy ji said no action has been taken by ED on BJP. This is PTI report, Jan 4, 2021. ED attaches 2.7 crore worth assets of Surat BJP leader. Please see, Rajdeep, I've got news report. Income tax raids on close age of BSY's son, Mr. Yediyurappa's son, BJP loyalist. This is October 2021. So this allegation that it's acting selectively does not hold. But let's go not by, one second, just let me complete fully because it will otherwise be a problem. Let's go not by allegation, but by Adesh of court. Adesh of court has come in Aam Aadmi Party's case. They also cry the same thing. One Adesh, ignore the health report of LNJP hospital. Second Adesh in 2019 August that he did hawalabazi. Third...
You're referring to Satyendra Jain.
Satyendra. I'm coming to all of them one by one. Third, by the lower court just 2 days ago that there's sufficient prima facie evidence to charge Mr. Jain of involvement in money laundering and cognizance is taken of the charge sheet. Fourth is the hawala funds were used to purchase agricultural land. Then a High Court order on 27 July saying he had a criminal background, Kejriwal should decide. So court decided on this matter. Secondly, let's come to the case of Mr. TMC party, the too much corruption party. Court came up with Calcutta High Court Division Bench order came in 2022, which Mamata Banerjee challenged. In that, Adhikari's daughter's appointment was also cancelled. What action did they take on them? Secondly, today, it is your own channel, India Today. This evidence has been put out today, this morning on India Today. Arpita in a TMC function, this is India Today report, with Partha and education ministry envelopes found with her and Mamata Banerjee praising her. Now come to Congress party and to Shiv Sena also partly. This is NCP leader Ajit Pawar. You know Marathi also, and Ajit Pawar has said this statement today. Indian Express, and this is Times now, I'm sure you take it credibly. When asked about Sanjay Raut, he says that yes, investigations take place, but why Sanjay Raut is being investigated again and again, only he can answer and agencies have a right to probe. If this was a vindictive case, why is NCP today saying no, Mr. Raut has to answer? And last point I would want to say about Mr. Uddhav Thackeray and company. Uddhav Thackeray had said about Sachin Waze कि Osama bin Laden है क्या? When Nawab Malik case also they said the same thing. You remember? Special court has said Nawab Malik has links with Dawood Ibrahim. Court has denied him bail. Court has denied Satyendra Jain bail. Today, court has denied bail. Last sentence. One last sentence.
No. You are saying in all these cases, the courts have, in a way, backed the ED action.
Just last 10 seconds. I promise 10 seconds, then they can continue. Now, Mr. Uttam Reddy made a very important point. He said that, look, what has the ED done? 2014, by the way, sir, the akada you have given, the figures you gave, there were no convictions till 2014, and 2014 to 2022, there have been 23 convictions. So you have actually shown what you are doing with the ED. The ED was used as a weapon at a time when it was castigated as being a cage parrot for the CBI.
That was the CBI was used for
CBI and all other agencies.
Okay, you made your point now. I want to... No, 1 minute, sir.
Fair enough. No
Very
problem.
quickly, because you see, you must not tell half the story. Why
Which
are we debating this? This is the story. Look at in Maharashtra. What Sanjay Raut has been arrested. Take a look at this. Bhavna Gavli is the MP of the Shinde Sena.
Correct.
She has skipped 5 ED summons. She is now the chief whip. Suddenly the ED case on her seems to have gone slow.
Okay.
Yashwant Jadhav and his MLA of the Shiv Sena, Yamini Jadhav, under the ED probe for FEMA violations. Now with the Shinde Sena, no sign of the ED acting against them. Anand Arsul, ex-Shiv Sena MP, now with the Shinde Sena, under ED probe in a cooperative bank. No action now being taken against him. Pratap Sarnaik, Shiv Sena's Shinde MLA, raided by the ED in money laundering case. Now with the Sena, we don't know what's happened in the case. Arun Khotkar, only this weekend, has shifted to the Sena. Assets worth 78 crores were attached by him. He has gone on record to say he was told if he switched sides, things would be well. Kripa Shankar Singh, booked by the police for corruption when he was in the Congress. ED probe delayed the moment he quit the Congress in the BJP. Narayan Rane, Union Minister accused of a 300 crore money laundering racket by the BJP itself when he was in the Congress, is now a minister in Modi government. I can give many such cases, Mr. Poonawala. The fact, therefore, is the BJP is being accused of being a laundry or washing machine. The ED has selective standards. Why are all these cases not interrogated?
Can I answer in 30 seconds?
30 seconds.
I wish, Rajdeep, when your producer made so much effort to put these graphics, he would have also put what Uddhav Thackeray said about Pratap Sarnaik, what Uddhav Thackeray said about Bhavna Gavli just at that time when these cases were initiated. Would you want to put those graphics? Secondly, they gave clean sheet. They said, "ये प्रताड़ित किए जा रहे हैं center के द्वारा."
Why are they not being prosecuted, Mr. Poonawala?
Rajdeep, my friend, I am answering. Where am I running away? I am here only. Secondly, I am saying ईडी, मोदी, सीबीआई सब बहुत खराब, शहजाद पूनावाला भी बहुत खराब. इनके पास तो सारे एविडेंस है ना, एक कोर्ट से आदेश लिया है ना. हम तो कह रहे हैं, मैंने तो कोर्ट के आदेश गिना. I have only shown the court orders against each of these gentlemen who are involved in Ghotala. So if they have any evidence against Pratap Sarnaik, Bhavna Gavli, so and so, whom they used to defend till just 2 weeks ago, this Dubey ji used to only come and defend. If they have the proof, please go to court. Tomorrow night we'll organize a debate. Rajdeep will say, Shahzad Poonawala, look, you had the evidence, but you didn't take action. Mr. Dubey has got a court order. Now answer.
You want the opposition to go to the court now and get a court order against these leaders? Why is preferential treatment? You are telling them go to the court.
I hope they have faith in court. Because in some matters, they don't have faith in court. In Yaqub Memon, they did have.
So you're saying, please go to the court. Uttam Kumar Reddy,
go ahead and get it done.
Uttam Kumar Reddy, according to Shehzad Poonawala, if you all believe the ED is selective, go to the court and get favorable orders against these leaders.
Surely, Rajdeep, I mean, anybody who's gone to court after some time has got relief. In fact, I mean, I don't know what kind of a reply that was, but out of 5,422
if you believe that an investigation is malicious, or if you believe an investigation is selective, please go to the court.
Important. No. See, definitely they'll go to the court, and definitely the courts will give relief. But the process, I mean, Rajdeep, you're aware that the standard for bail has been set very high. Then the properties which are attached will take a long time to be released. There is a harassment in the whole process, and that is what the BJP is trying to do. Now, mainly, Rajdeep, I'd like to repeat earlier, why is this Sanjay Kumar Mishra, who's a director of the Enforcement Directorate, I have never heard that the Indian Parliament has brought in a new law, a new act to bypass Supreme Court orders not to give him an extension. I mean, this is unheard of.
I will let Shehzad respond to that. You made that point earlier, sir. He deserves a response. It deserves a response. You brought in an ordinance 2 days before an officer was to retire to change the law of the land to allow him to continue as the ED director. I mean, that suggests at least prima facie that he was being propped up there because he was serving the BJP's interests at the time. Please respond to that. An ordinance to give an extension to a specific officer to change the law of the land. Your response, Shahzad.
A party which has had the chief election commissioner become a minister in their government should not sit on such a high horse of morality. But having said that, with due respect to
this question,
it's reminding them of what their legacy and past is. But Mr. Reddy, we are all mature people. I heard you out. Mr. Reddy, when was the appointment of Mr. Mishra done as ED chief? Just answer in one line. When was it done?
November 2018.
One second.
No, 1 minute.
Okay, sir, let me have a conversation. He's the opposition. May I have a conversation? Sir, from then to now, if it was so blatantly violative of the constitution, it threw into garbage the Supreme Court's guidelines, Chidambaram ji could not get an order. Abhishek Manu Singh, we couldn't get an order. I am saying don't trust us, sir. You anyways don't trust us. Why don't you get this stuff done from the courts? And why don't you tell us every night on television that, look, you're vindictive, you're malicious, you're selective, and you go against the law. 1 second, sir. Now let me complete. For the sake of God, Mr. Reddy, for the sake of God, sir, you've been in the Air Force. Sir, you've been in the Air Force. Discipline is key. Please, sir, I am speaking, you speak after.
No, you have not answered the question.
I have answered the question in the best manner.
An term is to end, an ordinance is brought through Parliament.
Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai, you and...
Mr. Reddy, just a minute, Mr. Reddy, let him answer. He deserves to answer.
Mr. Reddy's and Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai...
He's got 3 against 1, he deserves to answer. Please go ahead.
Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai's and Reddy ji's partisan, and not yours, but his partisan selective view of a particular appointment does not cut the ice of constitutionalism. He has to go and put his money where the mouth is. He has to go to a court of law and get it challenged, like we got many appointments challenged. But having said that, today I'm saying everything if done against Mr. Sanjay Raut was fake. I'm reading what the court said. Careful perusal of the statements recorded under Section 50 PMLA prima facie refer to a trail of money and the accused. Is the court of law also working on our directions? And these observations, these findings have come against Satyendra Jain. One of your sathis, the 4th pillar of corruption, said, Kattar imandar hai ji. 2 महीने से कट्टर ईमानदार को बेल नहीं मिला है. 3 courts of law have ruled against him. Where is Mr. Kejriwal except for acts? Where is the morality of corruption against fighting against corruption?
Let's take that. No, Mr. Reddy, just a minute. Let's take that also to Shashi Panja. Shashi Panja, the challenge is being thrown in a way by the government that if you believe these are malicious prosecutions, these are selective prosecutions, please go to the court and set them aside. Everyone must eventually face the court of law. If they are really malicious, the court of law will throw them out. I know it might take time, but that's the way to do it.
So he means to say that we will do the hard work and ED will not take cognizance when there are obvious instances of money trail. Is that so? Is that what, he said this before in previous shows also, when we asked him about the BJP washing machine, that why is Shubhendu Adhikari, once he enters into the BJP washing machine, the CBI or the ED stops his investigations. I mean, it never even started. No, it never started. So, if Mr. Poonawala is talking about morality, so let's talk about morality. Has the Prime Minister taken any action against, or the respected state Chief Minister has taken any action against the Gujarat Rural Panchayat Development Minister who was alleged to have committed rape? He has confined some women. Were there any actions taken by the UP Chief Minister when the Home Minister's son ran over the farmers? So don't talk about morality to us.
No, 1 minute.
You are not sitting at the pulpit.
The MOS Home son is at the moment in custody. But the point is, whether
the morality
the point, ma'am, is if you believe that Shubhendu Adhikari has been let off, why don't you go to the court? Why doesn't the West Bengal Government Council go to the court and say that Shubhendu Adhikari also deserves to be investigated?
Of course. I mean, they're so blatant. There is evidence on, you are showing me evidence about Patra Chawl. There is evidence of Shubhendu Adhikari. In fact, the person who is accused, Shudipta Sen, who is behind bars, he is also alleging how much money he has given to Shubhendu Adhikari. But apparently nobody takes cognizance. A prisoner of somebody who's in jail, he's alleging. And that's why, what has happened is ultimately these BJP leaders have got empowered and they have the audacity to say that Maharashtra government has been toppled. Next it will be Jharkhand. Then it will be Telangana. Then it will be Chhattisgarh. Then it will be West Bengal.
ओके यू मेड द पॉइंट. अभय दुबे जी, आपको भी कहना है ये कि आप कोर्ट, देखिए कोर्ट का मामला है. अगर आपको वाकई लगता है कि संजय राउत को फंसाया जाता है, कोर्ट है इस देश में. आपको चलिए बीजेपी में विश्वास नहीं है, ये एनफोर्समेंट डायरेक्टरेट का पूरा फायदा उठा रहे हैं. कोर्ट का क्या आपको लगता है कोर्ट भी बीजेपी के साथ है?
बहुत सही सवाल आपने कहा. कुछ महीने पहले एक केस हुआ था एनसीबी का, जो नारकोटिक्स डिपार्टमेंट का है. आर्यन खान के ऊपर 27 दिन जेल में रहने के बाद न्यायालय उस लड़के को बरी करती है, बाइज्जत बरी करती है और कहती निर्दोष है. ठीक है, अगर आप बीजेपी की ये मंशा है कि पहले हम आप पर केस करेंगे, आपको बदनाम करेंगे, आपको कुछ दिन जेल में रखेंगे, न्यायालय एक प्रक्रिया होगी, फिर आप उसमें निर्दोष हो जाना, बरी हो जाना. अगर इतनी लंबी प्रक्रिया से हमें गुजरना है तो गुजरेंगे. लेकिन महाराष्ट्र के बीजेपी के उन 1 दर्जन नेताओं पर भी यही प्रक्रिया यदि हो जाती, सुबह 7 बजे उन नेताओं के घर पर भी रेड हो जाती, उनको भी यही प्रक्रिया से गुजरना होता, तो हमें लगता कि सौतेला व्यवहार नहीं हो रहा.
तो इसी तो यही बात हो गई शहजाद. इट इज कमिंग बैक टू दिस दैट इफ टुडे ऑल द नेम्स दैट आई हैव साइटेड फ्रॉम नारायण राणे टू भावना गवली, if the enforcement directorate was to tell the people of this country, at the end of the day you have to tell the citizens of the country that everyone is equal before the law. It cannot be that if I join the BJP or I'm associated with the BJP, the ED will not prosecute me. That is the anecdotal evidence. I've given it to you. You prove me wrong and you will have every right to say that this government truly means what the Prime Minister says, na khaunga na khane dunga. Otherwise it means हमारे लोग खाएंगे, अगर दूसरे खाएंगे तो हम उनको फंसा देंगे.
No,
that's what it has become.
Rajdeep, anecdotal evidence can't supplant constitutional precedents. So I am saying that if there is any case worth the salt about any of these people, including other lists of people, they might add my name also, you must go to a court of law and prove it one way or the other. But point number 2 that I'm trying to make is that look, this action on people who are corrupt is not like monkey balancing an editorial line. कि थोड़ा इसको रगड़ दिया तो थोड़ा इसको भी रगड़ना है, थोड़ा आम आदमी पार्टी को ये किया तो अभी थोड़ा सा बीजेपी को करना है. It's not monkey balancing of an editorial line. Let me complete. I'll explain why. Ms Shashi Panja is coming here and telling me all this. You want to hear? Your Bengali is good, I hope. I'll hear you. Make you hear what Ms Mamata Banerjee says about courts. Please hear. Please hear.
Mr. Poonawala, don't mislead.
No, please keep quiet now.
No,
please keep quiet. Why can I not play? She is saying BJP is controlling the courts of law. This person comes and says that we have faith in courts. She does not have faith in courts. I am saying we are all corrupt, we are all very bad. Modi ji is very bad, Amit Shah ji is very bad, Shahzad is very bad. You go to a court of law and prove it. No, because we went to court of law. By the way, the entire Sonia Gandhi. One second, sir, please. Rajdeep, just don't be.
Sir, 1 minute.
Rajdeep.
Sir, you're being a little disingenuous because the enforcement directorate or the CBI has to start the investigation and take it to the
yes. Now let me.
Then the courts.
Now let me tell you.
You want the courts to do the job only in the case of the BJP.
By the way, Rajdeep.
No, I'm asking.
Yes, I'm answering. I'm answering with proof. Rajdeep, the entire National Herald matter started with a private criminal complaint filed by Subramaniam Swamy in a court of law, and then agencies got to get into it. There was no complaint that was filed that ED or CBI took cognizance of. So, by the way, we have also adopted that route. Why doesn't any of the worthy members with such stalwart lawyers whom you interview many times, Sonia Gandhi's lawyer, Rahul Gandhi's lawyer, why don't they go to court of law and they prove that, look, this is happening which is unfair, vindictive, malicious, selective, Modi ji bahut kharab hai. Why don't they do it anymore?
Okay, Uttam Kumar
8 years they couldn't do it.
I'm giving you one more time to answer that question. It's a direct question. You have got these top lawyers. You believe that the ED is being misused. Go to the court and give this, file a complaint that the ED is being misused to harass and target us.
Rajdeep, especially in respect to the Gandhis, this has been discussed several times earlier. We will just go through the way they have gone through this summons procedure. It was just to show them down, kind of harass them. Otherwise, you can imagine on a matter like that, Shehzad Poonawalla should respond. Not a single rupee of transaction has taken place from any person to any person. The Gandhi family has not benefited even
Sir,
one
I
rupee
asked
of
you
the
the larger
property.
question.
Now,
There
one
is a
minute.
belief that in state after state, the ED is harassing only opposition leaders. Why don't you all file a criminal complaint? Why don't you all take this to the court and question the whole credibility of the ED, the way the director was appointed? All of this, go to the court, and if you get a favorable order...
By the way, they did it, and the Supreme Court ruled on their fact that, no, it was on the ED validity of various provisions. They got a fatkar from the court.
No, that is in the PMLA case.
Who went to court? Please name the petitioners.
Yes.
Please name the petitioners.
The petitioners included Karti Chidambaram.
And what relief did they get?
No, that's a
Ille,
case.
none, zero,
On the
shunya.
ED directors, on ED director tenure, the matter
You
is
went to
coming
challenge
up
the powers of the ED under various sections of the PMLA. You got no relief, sir. Please, let's have a discussion on why you guys engage in corruption. And when they are caught, then you say that this is not, there should be no investigation. That should be the fundamental debate. That when are you going to sack Mr. Delhi's Partha, Satyendra Jain? When are you going to sack Mr. Sanjay Raut, who is Maharashtra's Uddhavji's Partha? When are you going to sack the other Parthas of TMC, including Mr. Adhikari, who has been named in the High Court order? This should be the question. कि भ्रष्टाचार करेंगे, शिष्टाचार बताएंगे, अत्याचार चिल्लाएंगे? ये क्या चला रखा है?
Absolutely not. भ्रष्टाचार सिर्फ नॉन बीजेपी में हो रहा है ना, बीजेपी में नहीं हो रहा है ना.
Madam, go and through your case, one case. I challenge you.
You show me an example beyond even Bhrashtachar where you've told your ministers to resign. Give me one example where
I'll give you one
any of
example.
the
She has asked me one
BJP
example. मैं
states
example दे देता हूँ. Rajdeep,
only
you
one
remember.
example, sir.
I'll give you an example, madam. The minister's son was involved in the matter in Uttar Pradesh. The SIT of the Uttar Pradesh government took a stand against him, and stringent provisions were invoked against him, and he is in jail today. He is in jail today.
Can I ask you though? Can I just a minute, ma'am? Ma'am, just a minute. Can I ask you though, Reddy brothers? No, Reddy brothers accused by the BJP itself of corruption when they were not on your side have been completely, virtually given a clean chit. Mr. Yediyurappa himself, against whom there were serious charges, land and mining scam, continued as chief minister even as those allegations continued. Therefore, the perception, Shehzad, final point, the perception is, yes, the ED must act against the corrupt. Whether Sanjay Raut is involved or anyone in any scam, let's be clear, they must be prosecuted. But, if you switch sides, and I've given several examples, it cannot be suddenly that you become a washing machine. Then the credibility and the faith in the legal process is diminished. Do you concede or not that you need to change this perception? Is the BJP willing to do that or not?
Rajdeep, you know, I am so against people just throwing allegations at each other. I'll give you an example of it. One of them was done against Smriti Irani ji. Today, what the court has said about these two people who are making allegations about an 18-year-old. You know, so let's ignore all allegations. BJP, Congress, AAP, Trinamool. Let's only go by court ke aadesh. I say let's set that as a standard. जिसके खिलाफ कोर्ट का आदेश उस पर कार्रवाई. If they get a court का आदेश against my leaders, we'll do कार्रवाई. But if they only make allegation, we'll make allegation. They'll make allegation. Every day one allegation. Then allegations
Sir, the court will only give an order when there is an honest, transparent, fair investigation done. When there is no honest, fair, transparent investigation done, then, when there is a slipshod investigation done, then you want the court to give an order. Second. It won't happen.
If there is no honest, fair, transparent investigation done, which has come to a conclusion, then on what basis they are jumping to conclusion?
Okay, on that point, I think we've heard every side. I think perception matters in politics as much as facts. The facts at the moment clearly suggest that the opposition has much to answer for in most of these cases, because in most of these cases there is hard evidence against them. Perception clearly suggests that the BJP is allowing those who are close to them to get away from that same fair and transparent investigation. Investigations cannot be selective. No one who is involved in money laundering must escape the law. But it cannot be that if I switch sides, money laundering on one side becomes a washing machine on the other. That is where the problem lies today in our system. Think about it. That was, of course, my take there. Thank you all very much for joining me. Let's turn from there to the other big story, because after days of disruption, the Lok Sabha today finally debated inflation, price rise, an issue that affects us all. It took us 2 weeks. Here are the excerpts from that long-awaited debate.
जो सबसे अमीर 92 भारतीय हैं, उनके पास उतना धन है जितना 55 करोड़ भारतवासियों के पास है। इससे बड़ी असमानता इस देश में नहीं हो सकती। और इस सबकी शुरुआत 8 नवंबर 2016 को हुई थी, जब एनडीए भाजपा सरकार ने बगैर सोचे समझे इस देश में नोटबंदी जारी कर दी थी। 15,31,000 करोड़ रुपया डीमोनेटाइज हुआ था और उसमें से 99% जो पैसा है 15,41,000 करोड़ रुपया डीमोनेटाइज हुआ था। 15,31,000 करोड़ रुपया उसमें से वापस जो बैंकिंग सिस्टम है उसमें आ गया। आपने जो रोजमर्रा की चीजें हैं उसके ऊपर जीएसटी बढ़ा दिया। आटे के ऊपर, पनीर के ऊपर, दही के ऊपर, शाही के ऊपर, पेंसिल के ऊपर, शार्पनर के ऊपर आपने तो बच्चों को भी नहीं छोड़ा। और जो हास्यास्पद बात यह है कि आपने जीएसटी चमचों और कड़छियों पे भी बढ़ा दिया। और दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण बात यह है जिससे मेरे मन को आहत हुआ कि जो शमशान घाट है, शमशान घाट के निर्माण के ऊपर भी आपको 18% जीएसटी लगाने की जरूरत पड़ गई। किस तरह का मुल्क बना रहे हैं हम? जैसे माननीय सुषमा स्वराज जी जब यहां बैठती थी वो कहा करती थी कभी कि गृहिणी के आंसू बह रहे हैं। आज सही में माननीय सभापति हर गृहिणी के आंसू बह रहे हैं। इतनी कमर तोड़ महंगाई आपने कर दी है।
अभी ये सोचना चाहिए कि ईंधन में आग लगा है। कभी कभी मेरे मन में आता है कि ये सरकार बहादुर क्या हमें कच्चा खाने का आदत दिलाना चाहते हैं? कच्चा खाने का दूसरा मतलब कोई मत समझो कि दूसरा कोई मतलब है। मैं कहती हूँ कि ये सब्जी अगर मैं कच्चा खा जाती हूँ क्योंकि ईंधन नहीं मिलता है तो वही कच्चा खाने का बात कर रही हूँ, क्योंकि एलपीजी सिलेंडर ये चंद महीनों में 4 बार एलपीजी सिलेंडर का दाम बढ़ा।
आज निशिकांत दुबे जी जब कह रहे थे बड़े बड़े नंबर्स और 60 सालों की बहुत अच्छा हिस्ट्री लेक्चर सुनाया उन्होंने, बहुत सारी बातें 60 साल की बोली उन्होंने, लेकिन अभी उनको भी वहाँ बैठे 8 साल हो गए। मैंने पिछली बार एक बार बोला था, फिर दोहराना नहीं चाहती थी, लेकिन उनका 60 साल का हिस्ट्री का लेक्चर इतना लंबा चला, मुझे सिर्फ उनको याद दिलाना एक बार कि 8 साल बहुत होते। मुझे उनके शब्द सुषमा जी के याद है जो आज इनके भाषण पे पूरे लागू होते। ट्रेजेडी की भाषा आम आदमी नहीं समझता। आम आदमी केवल वो भाषा समझता है उसके जेब से क्या निकल रहा है और उसके बदले में उसको क्या मिल रहा है।
ये 1,44,000 करोड़ का 1,44,000 करोड़ का इन्होंने ऑयल बॉन्ड जारी किया सर। और आज 2020 के बाद से भारत सरकार को 10 साल का बॉन्ड था, वो 2011 के बाद जितने भी हुए, आज आप समझिए कि हम लोगों को लगभग 3.5 लाख करोड़ 1,44,000 करोड़ जनता को गुमराह करने के लिए, बचाने के लिए कि हम पेट्रोल, डीजल और एलपीजी का प्राइस कम कर रहे हैं। आज 3.5 लाख करोड़ भारत सरकार को लौटाना पड़ रहा है, क्योंकि सरकार कंटिन्यूटी है। और वो सभी बड़े कॉर्पोरेट हैं जिन्होंने ऑयल बॉन्ड लिया है, वो सारे बड़े कॉर्पोरेट हैं। और मैं कांग्रेस के सभी मित्रों को चैलेंज करना चाहता हूं कि वो अपने मनमोहन सिंह जी हैं, सोनिया जी यूपीए की चेयरमैन है, उनसे पूछे कि किस अमीर को आपने फायदा पहुंचाने के लिए देश के लोगों को इस तरह से गुमराह किया, देश के लोगों के साथ धोखा किया। प्रत्येक साल भारत सरकार को 20 से 25,000 करोड़ रुपया लौटाना पड़ रहा है।
मिस्टर दुबे, you will be astonished to learn that both interest and principal taken together between 2014 and 2022 that has been repaid by way of oil bonds is only 93,600 crores. So 27 lakh crores, 93,000 crores, the total payment made towards oil bonds from the revenue collected is 3.4%. 3.4%. So therefore, please do not keep telling us that oil prices are going up because we have to service oil bonds. That's not an accurate description.
आपने महंगाई की बात की, आपने गरीबों की बात की, आपने कई आंकड़े प्रस्तुत किए, आपने ये भी कहा कि आंकड़ों से पेट नहीं भरता। सुप्रिया सूले जी ने, माननीय सदस्य जी बहुत वरिष्ठ सदस्य हैं, और बिल्कुल सही कहा उन्होंने कि आंकड़ों से पेट नहीं भरता है। मैं बताता हूं पेट कैसे भरता है। मैं जाता हूं पेटो पंचायत, मैं जाता हूं रामपुर पंचायत, मैं जाता हूं देहर पंचायत, मैं सब अपने जिले के पंचायतों में घूमता हूं और मैं वहां जाता हूं तो वही गांव देहात के लोग कह रहे हैं कि हमारा पेट माननीय सरकार, माननीय मोदी जी ने भरा है, क्योंकि आज हर कोई, और इतने महीनों से, इतने सालों से कोविड का जब यह आपदा आई, हम लोगों ने गरीब कल्याण योजना के तहत सबको मुफ्त अनाज खिलवाया और उनको जो जो उनकी जरूरतें थी वो हम लोगों ने उनको प्रावधान उनको हम लोगों ने करवाया है।
पैंडेमिक, सेकेंड वेव, ओमिक्रॉन, इंडिया, रशिया, यूक्रेन, supply chain, even today largest supply component suppliers around in China still under lockdown in several areas. In spite of that, we have held the inflation well within 7 or even below, and that has got to be recognized. Central government has reduced customs duty on crude palm oil from 35.75, Adirji suniye, 35.75% to first 8.25 and now to 5.5% only. So drastically bringing down the duty and making it possible to bring edible oil, in this case palm oil, so that common people and their edible prices, oil prices can come down. A Bloomberg survey which was done by economists has said that zero probability of India slipping into recession. So it's not just me saying, there is zero probability of India slipping into recession. This morning we have announced the GST collection for the entire month of July. July 22, we have garnered the second highest level ever since the introduction of the GST, which is 1.49 lakh crores. Second highest.
So the Parliament finally got the time to discuss price rise. We'll also take a closer look at that price rise debate tomorrow with plenty of fact-checking for you tomorrow night. But for now, it's time for another break. On the other side, our Good News Today story. It comes today from Lucknow. You're watching the News Today. News without the noise.
I don't read the news. I read between the lines to tell you the true version of events, the true story of our times.
To document grief, the toughest assignment for any journalist to be.
From those who matter.
Women politicians going to stick up for each other.
Of those who should matter. I document the truth. I don't distort the truth. I don't glamorize the truth. I don't gloss over the truth.
The ghosts of India's contentious medieval history have come knocking again.
I hustle for the truth, on the ground, in the newsroom, in the studio. I don't try to grab eyeballs.
I inform you to make you see the point.
To the Point with Preeti Chaudhary. At these times, only on India Today.
सो इस वक्त हमारे साथ हैं बिंदिया रानी, कॉमनवेल्थ गेम्स की सिल्वर मेडलिस्ट 55 kg वेट कैटेगरी में। बिंदिया, आपका पहला कॉमनवेल्थ गेम्स और सिल्वर मेडल, कैसे एक्सप्लेन करेंगे अपनी खुशी को?
आज मेरा ये लाइफ का गेम से इसमें मेरा सिल्वर मेडल आया, इसके लिए मैं बहुत आई एम सो फील वेरी हैप्पी मेरा फर्स्ट लाइफ के लिए सिल्वर मेडल आया, इसके लिए मैं बहुत खुश
आप मैं ये जानना चाह रहा था कि एक एथलीट बनने के पीछे आपने कितनी कड़ी मेहनत की, किन किन चुनौतियों का आपको सामना करना पड़ा, चाहे वो परिवार की बात रही हो, चाहे आप खुद आपने किस तरीके से ना अपने आप को आगे बढ़ाया वो।
और ये मेरा कोच लोगों ने भी बहुत हेल्प किया और टॉप्स और साई ने बहुत हेल्प किया। उसके बाद मेरा कोच विजय शर्मा प्रमोद सर, वो लोगों ने अभी भी ट्रेनिंग में पूरा, मेरा टेक्निक थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम है, इसके लिए रूम हमने अभी इधर बताया, फिर रूम में जाके सौ की सोचना है, सालों ने ये बताया, ये ऐसे बोला, मैंने सालों का एडवाइस मैंने दिमाग से लगाया, इसके लिए वो सालों ने बहुत हेल्प किया।
स्नैच में आप थोड़ा सा अभी आपको लगता है कि थोड़ा सा और इम्प्रूव करने की ज़रूरत है, क्योंकि हमने देखा कि आप क्लीन एंड जर्क में बेहतर कर रहे थे, लेकिन स्नैच में थोड़ी सी प्रॉब्लम थी, उस पर आप कैसे काम कर रहे हैं?
मैं स्नैच भी अभी तो कभी कभी अच्छा किया, तो क्लीन जर्क तो कॉम्पिटिशन में ट्रेनिंग में इतना फेल नहीं है, स्नैच तो थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम है। तो प्रॉब्लम तो अभी तो ठीक चल रहे, इधर बर्मिंघम में ट्रेनिंग आया, अभी ठीक चल रहे, फिर उसके बाद अभी भी स्नैच तो पहले से अभी ठीक है।
Welcome back. Good news today. The recent years have witnessed a rise in the number of young people taking to farming, leaving their high-collar jobs. So is the case with an engineer from Lucknow who turned his passion for growing plants and vegetables into his profession. Tonight's good news story comes from Lucknow. I leave you with that. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night. Jai Hind. Shubhratri. Namaskar.
It has been a career shift born out of a passion. From working out complex engineering plans in an enclosed office, Saurabh Tripathi has moved to the outdoors. The man from Lucknow left a career as a mechanical engineer to spend his whole time among plants.
बचपन से ही फूलों फ्लोरिकल्चर का शौक बहुत ज़्यादा था, हॉर्टिकल्चर का, गार्डनिंग का शौक बहुत था। तो बहुत ही कम पैसों में मुझसे कहा गया कि इस सैलरी में ही जॉब करनी पड़ेगी, तो कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ करने का मन नहीं कर रहा था। फिर सोचा मैंने ऐसा कि कुछ ऐसा किया जाए कि कुछ अपना बिजनेस या तो चल के स्टार्ट करें, कुछ करना है नया।
Tripathi's terrace is his lab now. That's where he grows rare and exotic plants, using his extensive research into new techniques of horticulture. Then there is a nursery where he grows thousands of varieties of plants and flowers, fruits and vegetables which are also put on sale. Tripathi is more than happy training others in the art of growing plants in limited space. He also tells you how to make a business out of a hobby.
एक छोटे से स्टार्टअप से मैंने शुरू किया था। उन दिनों गार्डनिंग को लेके बहुत ज़्यादा लोग लखनऊ में उतना अवेयर नहीं थे। जब रियल एस्टेट ने लोगों को नई चीज़ें देना शुरू करी, जब लोगों को कुछ नई चीज़ें, नए प्लांट्स मिलना शुरू हुए, नई चीज़ें देखने को मिली, तो लोग धीरे धीरे अवेयर भी होना शुरू हुए। वहीं से फिर बिजनेस धीरे धीरे मेरा ग्रो करने लगा।
The one-time engineer is doing both, chasing his passion and making enough money to keep the fires burning at home. Bureau Report, India Today.
NASA beamed doctors into the middle of the International Space Station while they were physically on Earth. This might seem like a scene from a sci-fi movie, but this technology now exists. NASA tried this new method to ensure medical help is provided to people in adverse situations. This is being called the first holoportation handshake from Earth in space. So what is holoportation and how does it work? According to NASA, it is a capture technology that allows high-quality 3D models of people to be reconstructed, compressed and transmitted live anywhere in real time. When these images are combined with mixed reality displays such as HoloLens, it allows users to see, hear and interact with remote participants in 3D. The technology gives a feeling as if the person is right in front of you. NASA says that the technology could be highly effective in deep space where communication lag is a major problem due to the immense distance between Earth and other objects. Using the Microsoft HoloLens Kinect camera with custom software, NASA flight surgeon Dr. Joseph Schmid and their teams were holoported. They interacted with astronaut Thomas Pesquet in a two-way conversation. Holoportation is not new. It has been in use since at least 2016 by Microsoft. But this was the first use in such an extreme and remote environment as space.
You are watching India Today.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
Presented by Green Lamb Laminates, Har Gustakhi Saaf. Co-powered by HDFC Bank Parivartan, a step towards sustainable progress. In association with Hetic Fittings, make your furniture work beautifully. Offer पे offer सिर्फ कल्याण ज्वेलर्स में.
China's unambiguous message to the United States. China releases a video of its military exercises. China warns the United States, don't play with fire.
While some country has repeatedly emphasized the principle of sovereignty over the issue of Ukraine, it has incessantly challenged the sovereignty of China over Taiwan and even deliberately created tension in the Taiwan Strait.
US Speaker Nancy Pelosi reaches Singapore. Will she visit Taiwan during her Asia tour? Will the US fighters and Navy escort her to Taiwan in the next 24 to 48 hours? That's our top focus on India First. Is China preparing for a major military escalation?
China has just carried out a series of military drills and exercises. But are these military drills and live firing exercises a part of the 95th anniversary of the People's Liberation Army? Or are these exercises aimed to send a very clear military signal to the United States of America amidst reports that US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi may just be landing in Taiwan in the next 24 to 48 hours? I'm Gaurav Sawant. Are China and the United States now on a major collision course? Are war clouds on the horizon? We get to the latest, but first, as always, the headlines on India First. Political war breaks out over Shiv Sena's loudest voice, Sanjay Raut's arrest. Uddhav Thackeray claims his close aide has been framed by the Enforcement Directorate. Raut to be in Enforcement Directorate custody for the next 3 days. Agency claims they have ample proof against him. Parliament debates price rise after days of disruptions. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman insists India controlled inflation despite the pandemic and is still the fastest growing economy in the world. Congress MPs walk out. No document to show Smriti Irani or her daughter owned the Goa restaurant, says the Delhi High Court. Goes on to say that there was an intent to malign and damage the union minister's reputation. Ms Sitharaman and DK Shivakumar's face-off. SR Patil enters Karnataka Congress CM face race. Delhi goes dry because of Aam Aadmi Party's excise policy flip-flop. Nearly 500 liquor shops are shut, pubs and bars running low on alcohol. China's military drills ahead of Nancy Pelosi's likely visit to Taiwan is our top focus. China's mega show of strength before Pelosi visit. China has brought out its military hardware, from its missiles to its aircraft to stealth frigates. China has carried out a series of military drills and live firing exercises, and China has announced these live fire drills off the coast of Taiwan. Drills, are they aimed at sending a very clear signal to the United States of America? Is China preparing to send out a military signal, a military warning to the United States of America? A live fire exercise by China off the coast of Taiwan. Reports of maritime notice for launching a missile. Now, this notice is going viral on Chinese social media platforms. Days after Chinese President Xi Jinping warned the US President Joe Biden, saying, if you play with fire, you will set yourself on fire. Reports both from Washington, D.C. and Taiwan indicate that US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will visit Taiwan. Is China escalating? Is China sending out a very clear signal to the United States of America with these live firing exercises?
As US Speaker Nancy Pelosi kicked off her Asia tour with a touchdown in Singapore. China released a video of its military exercises in Taiwan Strait. The message was clear and direct. It was another signal to Washington by Beijing, which had very recently warned the United States it was playing with fire by meddling in China-Taiwan affairs.
has incessantly challenged the sovereignty of China over Taiwan and even deliberately created tension in the Taiwan Strait. This is a disregard and infringement of the principles and purposes of the UN Charter. China has always respected the sovereignty of other countries and certainly hopes that its own sovereignty be respected by other countries.
While Pelosi's Asia stops have been announced, there is no mention of Taiwan yet.
We would like to tell the United States once again that China is standing by, and the Chinese People's Liberation Army will never sit idly, and that China will take resolute responses and strong countermeasures to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity. What the US should do is to abide by the One China principle and the provisions of the 3 Sino-US joint communiques. Honor President Biden's pledge not to support Taiwan's independence and not to arrange Pelosi's visit to Taiwan.
If Pelosi were to visit Taiwan, it would be the first visit by a US speaker in the last 25 years. Analysts argue, if the US backs down at this stage, then China would gain an upper hand. On the other hand, Chinese President Xi Jinping aims to send out a signal of a strong leader as he looks to seek an unprecedented third term as Chinese premier. After Singapore, Pelosi is scheduled to visit Malaysia, South Korea and Japan. So will she visit Taiwan? That depends on who blinks first, Washington or Beijing. Bureau Report, India Today.
And this is getting very serious. The display of military hardware, from stealth frigates to jet fighters, from submarines to the DF-17 hypersonic missile. What signal is China sending out to the United States of America? Is this perhaps the clearest warning to the US not to go ahead with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit? Or should this be seen as part of the PLA's 95th anniversary celebrations? Before we go to our guests, I quickly want to cut across. We are getting a reaction. Nancy Pelosi has just reacted. Let's listen into her.
I don't ever talk about my travel because, as some of you know, it's a security issue. It's a security issue for every member of Congress traveling, especially abroad. But for the Speaker, it is an additional security issue, and for those traveling with me. The President earlier in his term, talked about a strong emphasis on the Asian Pacific. He has visited there, the Vice President has visited there, the Secretary of Commerce and others, and we want the Congress of the United States to be part of that initiative. Of course, as a West Coast person, we see the Pacific as that's our home. We're part of that as well. That is not to diminish the importance of our transatlantic relationships as well.
So let's quickly try and make sense of these latest developments. Joining me on India First, Lieutenant General P.J.S. Pannu, former Deputy Chief of the Integrated Defence Staff. The General has served extensively along Ladakh-based Fire and Fury Corps. Brian Hoy is the editor of New Bloom, and Brian joins us from Taiwan, Taipei. Also with me is Inar Tanjan. Inar Tanjan is a senior fellow of the Taipei Institute, understands China very well. But Brian, on the show today, I want to come to you first. What do you make of the Chinese military exercises and live firing drills ahead of Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan? And what's the latest? Is she visiting?
First of all, thanks for having me. But I think what the military drilling actually illustrates is that Chinese repertoire to responding to the Pelosi visit is actually somewhat limited. For example, it was expected that China would step up air incursions or military exercises or naval drilling in response to Pelosi's visit because of the fact that this is what China has done in the past. However, this time around, what I think is notable is that China has not actually escalated the air incursions into Taiwan's air defense identification zone, that is the area in which aircraft are obligated to identify themselves, where they're from, where they're going, their nation, that sort of thing. And that has actually not really been stepped up before the Pelosi visit. This is usually how China tries to hit back quickly against U.S. diplomatic visits to Taiwan under the Trump administration or the Biden administration. And so I think the fact that it's not done that is actually a sign of how it doesn't have a lot of ways to respond. It can respond the usual ways, stepping up drilling and military threats and that sort of thing. But as I don't think it actually responds too well with the Chinese public.
Okay. In our tangent, prepare for war. The PLA's 80th group message on Chinese social media platform Weibo. Now, is that a signal ahead of Nancy Pelosi's proposed visit to Taiwan, or is this just a regular 95th anniversary of PLA message?
Yeah,
well, it is the 91st anniversary. I mean, it was, 8/1 is the day. It just happens to be in the background of, or the foreground of, Nancy Pelosi's ill-timed visit to Taiwan, if she goes. We still don't know for certain. Rumors are swirling. Obviously, she's relishing the attention with 70% or almost 70% of Americans with their primary concern about inflation, cost of living. She's decided that the best way for her to do domestic politics is to go abroad and look tough on China by going to Taiwan and try to take that political card away from the Republicans. She's playing with fire. I don't know why she thinks domestic politics trumps statesmanship, but that's her outlook.
Okay. So this prepare for war message is not a signal to the United States in your view, in our tangent?
It is a very, very strong signal. I don't think there's any question that the PLA, the party, and the leadership see this as a tantamount close to an act of war. Remember, in 1973, the whole basis of the U.S.-China relationship was the one China policy. It resulted in Taiwan being removed from the United Nations and de facto decertified as an independent country. You can't walk away from that. You can't say, oh, we didn't mean it.
Okay.
That is the basis of it. So at this juncture, yes, this is seriously undermining the very beginning of the relationship and therefore could result in a complete fracture between China and the U.S., military or economic or both.
That's a big point you're making, that this could lead to a fracture when it comes to US-China ties, military or economic. General Pannu, what do you make of reports of the live-firing drills by China off the coast of Taiwan and the message of the PLA's 80th group, the move to the east, prepare for war?
Well, you don't celebrate anniversaries like this by making maneuvers, but largely what is happening